Once the #1 top-tier gamer and undisputed champion of a globally famous game, his very name made players across 5 continents instinctively hit the surrender button. But life is cruel. A freak accident, reeking of a setup, suddenly struck him down, turning the arrogant esport god into a paralyzed man. Falling from the peak into the mud, Jiang Chen lived a pathetic existence in darkness and uselessness until he died on a cold winter day, clutching a heart full of deep resentment. His eyes wide open, determined not to surrender to fate. And so, perhaps heaven took pity on him, or maybe the reincarnation department simply messed up the paperwork. A miracle occurred. His spirit, fueled by pure grudge, transmigrated into the very game world he could conquer with his eyes closed. Waking up in a dark, gloomy space, Jiang Chen instinctively went to curl his lips into a cocky, victorious smirk, only for that smile to vanish when he realized he had absolutely no lips to curl. He looked down, and what met his empty eye sockets wasn't a six-pack, but a set of bleached white bones. The wind whistled through his ribs, making a haunting, pathetic sound. Irony of ironies, the former king of the server had been pulled from a pile of rubble by a pathetic, lowest-level novice summoner, just to serve as a meat shield, or rather, a bone shield that creaks with every move. Talk about bad luck, a pile of dry bones meeting a seasonal draft. But at the moment Jiang felt so depressed he considered just lying there to let a dog gnaw on his femur. A crisp sound echoed inside his empty skull. System. Indestructible will detected. The infinite evolution system was officially activated. His dry eye sockets suddenly flared with a brilliant ghostly flame, and his skeletal jaw hooked into a grin. If he had no flesh and blood to speak of, then he'd strike back with his own bones. If he was just a puny skeleton, he would evolve into the undead Bone Emperor. The journey to grind from rock bottom, filled with blood, tears, and the rattling of rattling joints, officially began. The blood-red sky and withered trees welcomed the sudden appearance of a grotesque monster claw crashing down from the void. On the barren, bone-strewn ground, a skull lay abandoned in a rather helpless pose, carrying the memories of Jiang Chen, the notorious former gaming legend. Jiang Chen's eye sockets suddenly flashed with a startled, crimson light. He still couldn't swallow the harsh reality that he had turned into a skinny Jiang Chen. He lay flat on the ground, a rusted blunt sword gripped loosely in his bony hand. The skeleton guy was still deep in an existential crisis, wondering how in the world his life had ended up like this. Suddenly, a massive furry wolf paw stomped down, shaking his skull like a maraca, startling Jiang Chen right out of his daydream. He looked up to see a crimson demonic wolf, teeth bared, growling and drooling, making him want to scream at the heavens for being so incredibly unfair. Memories flooded back to the year 2025, when a super-realistic virtual reality game called Great Wilderness launched, driving billions of gamers across the globe into a frenzy. The game was a place where humanity's wildest magical and martial arts fantasies were transformed into a world so vivid it was unbelievable. Thousands of factions and hundreds of millions of diverse quests kept countless addicts hooked, grinding day and night without a care for the world. The game's explosion also meant the rise of power-leveling studios, squeezing countless farmers to sell their lives working overtime until they were completely drained. Our poor Jiang Chen, a man who was once a core developer for the game, had the honor of becoming a power-leveling machine, sitting in a VR pod, drunk on exhaustion. His hands gripped his shirt in agony, aching for a talent who hadn't even had the chance to dominate the virtual world before being exploited by the ruthless club. His hair a mess, sweat dripping, gasping for air. The young man had drained every ounce of strength for 43 consecutive hours just to gather basic materials. The tragic end was, he suffered heatstroke and passed away on the spot. And that heartless manager? He only cared about screaming to strip the guy of his virtual gear before the account was locked. The memory faded, and reality hit Jiang Chen as the sharp, urgent shouting of a girl rushing him snapped him back to the moment. He had to move. The user was a gorgeous blonde summoner, shaking as she clutched her magic staff, screaming in terror that if he didn't move, she was going to meet her maker. Jiang Chen clambered up awkwardly, scratching his bald skull in confusion, while the girl let out a sigh of relief so deep she nearly cried, glad that this biological weapon finally started moving. Jiang Chen's red eye sockets narrowed slightly. He began to scan the area to assess the situation, but instead of looking for monsters, the former boss' eyes landed straight on the round, bouncy assets, peeking out from the girl's tattered clothes, leaving him frozen. Is this heaven after death? Before he could even finish admiring the view, a huge black shadow leaped from the cliff, kicking up clouds of dust and forcing Jiang Chen to look up. His skull tilted, blank and confused. While beside him, Zhang Manman stood with her mouth wide open, staring in absolute terror at what was in front of them. The enemy was a level 3 elite zombie wolf, with a fierce, bruised red coat. His eyes suddenly flickered with a very familiar recognition. The blonde girl scrambled to hide behind him, shoving Jiang Chen forward to serve as a meat shield. Meanwhile, he muttered to himself, realizing this was just a low-tier trash mob from the starter village. A confident smile seemed to light up his meatless face. Jiang Chen slapped his thigh. Well, the bone where his thigh should be, realizing this wasn't the afterlife at all. Standing in the desolate canyon of the Desert of Death, he officially realized the truth. He had transmigrated into the very game, Great Wilderness, where he was a legend. Ignoring the girl's shrill screams for him to attack, Jiang Chen shot her a cold, sharp glare, silently mocking the gutsy girl, who dared to boss around a former pro-gamer. The zombie wolf didn't have the patience to wait for them to argue. Its blooded eyes glowed with killing intent as it bared its fangs, ready to pounce and tear them apart with a leap that blotted out the sky. The giant monster launched itself straight down at them, accompanied by the girl's desperate screams. The death bite was aiming straight for Jiang Chen's skull, but with his encyclopedic knowledge, he calmly crossed his arms, analyzing the weak point under the chin of the beast, a monster type he had wiped out by the thousands back in the day. Once finished, Jiang Chen immediately took a stance and swung the rusted sword. His red eyes flashed with cold light, locking onto the target. Found the weak spot. This is it. As the giant red wolf lunged down from midair, it forced Jiang Chen, in a moment of frustration, to tilt his head back, watching his own attack fail completely. He stared blankly at his hand, made of nothing but bleached white bones, stunned and wondering what the hell was wrong with his own dodging skills. The sharp, beastly claw stomped onto Jiang Chen, nearly causing him to lose his mind for the second time. Jiang Chen's featherweight body was sent flying through the air like a discarded toy. Inside, his ethereal brain was still screaming. In frustration, wondering why his power was so pathetic, the force of the impact slammed him straight into a cliffside, shattering the rock. Dust billowed, obscuring the entire sky. Lying face down on a bed of skulls and crossbones, he glared at his bony, skeletal arm and bitterly realized he had actually been reincarnated as the most bottom-tier, trash-level soldier, Jiang Chen. Laying sprawled on the ground to assess the situation, the former pro-gamer deduced that this fragile body was definitely the work of a novice summoner. The urgent priority was to grab his sword first. But before his comeback plan could even sprout, a massive wolf paw slammed down, pinning his skeletal frame against the earth like a pancake. The blood-red beast bared its fangs and let out a threatening growl, making him click his tongue in annoyance, wondering if his new life would be dead on arrival. Memories of his glory days flooded back. A young man standing tall, holding the World Championship trophy high before tens of thousands of fans, arrogantly thinking he was the main character of the universe. But then, a tragic car accident, with shattered glass and red rose petals scattering across the street, ruthlessly took it all away. The golden hands that once dominated the gaming world were now covered in metal braces and bandages, officially ending his peak career and leaving him buried in inescapable debt. To pay for medical bills and massive contract penalties, the former champion had to swallow his pride, curling up in a cramped VR pod as a desperate gold farmer, refusing to surrender to fate. But life is a cruel joke. The young man died of exhaustion inside that very virtual reality pod, fading away silently like trash that no one cared about. Even after his heart stopped, the cold, emotionless whispers of the exploitative managers still echoed in his ears. They were more upset about lost virtual materials than a human life. Those blood-sucking capitalists mocked the death of the former champion, claiming that someone who once stood at the pinnacle of glory could surely die satisfied with no regrets. Immersed in darkness, his vengeful spirit reached out a withered hand, eyes burning, with crimson killing intent, roaring at them to shut their mouths. It was precisely that fierce will to defy death, even though his physical body had rotted and turned to dust, that kept the immortal soul of the former champion clinging to this Jiang Chen, because there was no way in hell he was going to die in such a pathetic dump. Driven by the desire to turn the tables, the scrawny Jiang Chen clawed at the dirt, struggling to rise and seize the rare chance at rebirth that heaven had just tossed his way. His hollow eye sockets ignited with a brilliant red glow, and he ground his toothless gums together, determined to redo his life. Back in reality, a mysterious purple lightning energy exploded, engulfing his skeletal body. He declared clearly that he would decide his own fate from now on. His bony hand gripped the hilt, Purple sparks flared, and simultaneously, a blue system interface appeared, confirming it had recorded the host's extreme desperate will to survive. Amidst a swirling storm of lightning that forced the wolf to retreat, the god-level evolution system officially activated, vowing to turn this bag of bones into the most overpowered being in this world. Tilting his skeletal head toward the sky, he opened his jaw, releasing a brilliant stream of purple power from the depths of his skull, as the system generously granted a special starter pack for his near-death state. The wolf stared in alarm, backing away from the suffocating pressure, while Jiang Chen's health bar was instantly refilled to full. Jiang Manman, the cute summoner standing behind him, broke into a cold sweat, her cheeks flushing with surprise, as she saw the tattered weapon of Erling suddenly upgrade into something dazzling. The beating was over. Now it was time to shine. With his strength stat buffed by 100% for 30 seconds, Jiang Chen let out a majestic roar, as if a war god had possessed him, ready to slaughter everything. His right eye socket now burned with a deadly purple flame, radiating an unrivaled, evil coolness completely different from his pathetic state earlier. His skeletal fingers gripped the upgraded sword and swung it wildly, the friction with the air creating purple lightning arcs that tore through every obstacle. Fueled by his determination to survive at any cost, Jiang Chen leaped into the air, unleashing a powerful lightning slash, raining down on the beast's head to settle his debts with interest. Following that lightning-fueled strike, the blonde Jiang Manman stepped back in panic, clutching her staff with a face stunned by the dark, overwhelming pressure spraying everywhere. And then, the massive head of the red wolf was severed, rolling across the dry earth, its long tongue lolling out. Proof of a death so fast it didn't even have time to gasp. Right after, the scrawny figure of the majestic Jiang Chen stood straight over the beast's massive carcass, holding his sword like a war god pacifying the land. From a low angle, it perfectly captured the coolness of his burning, murderous eye sockets, casting a heroic shadow against the glowing sky. Just then, the enhancement timer ended, and "You have defeated level 3 zombie wolf" appeared. Jiang Chen stared at his hands and muttered in awe. It worked. Additionally, the system delivered more good news. 10 experience points and 10 evolution points gained, making him raise his hand in satisfaction and exclaim, "I survived." He turned his chin to look back at the girl, who was kneeling with a bewildered expression. Jiang Chen thought to himself, "This body isn't as bad as I thought." She raised her round, purple, awestruck eyes at him, and gasped in shock. "The Jiang Chen soldier I summoned, how is he this strong?" To confirm his strength, he immediately opened his Super Trashy status panel. Summoned unit, Jiang Chen level 1 soldier, race, low tier undead, health 350, mana 10 plus 140, attack 70, magic intensity 0 plus 72, physical defense 45, magic resistance 150, 0.5, weapon basic Jiang Chen sword, evolution points 10 out of 1000, enhancement points 100 unactivated, skills none. Belonging to player the biggest idiot, Jiang Manman level 1, followed by a system reminder. 90 evolution points remaining until first evolution. Host, please hurry and earn points. The panoramic view revealed a dark castle perched high on the Wuyi cliff, along with the exposition. Great Wilderness is a game with extreme freedom and realism. Because of this, the glowing pink magic stone on her staff proved a truth. That a mage's magic powerful enough to blast apart boulders proves that the mechanics in the Great Wilderness game hold infinite possibilities, such as a massive, frost-armored dragonclaw slamming down to shake the earth, or a magical explosion erupting like an inferno, burning the cliffside into ash. Facing such earth-shattering power, the explanation became clear. There's a minuscule chance for a player's summoned creature to undergo a mutation, but this is a once-in-a-lifetime event, a 1 in 100 million chance, and that's no exaggeration. A mutated beast, going berserk, as it tears through enemies with fire and ice, is the ultimate proof. A mutated summon becomes the most powerful asset on a player's leveling journey. Killing monsters above your level isn't just a dream anymore. Returning to reality, her eyes lit up as she let out a gasp upon seeing the mystical, shimmering info card of the mutated creature. Dropping to her knees in pure ecstasy, she hugged her heaving chest and cheered. "So that's it. That explains everything. My luck is seriously off the charts." Meanwhile, Jiang Chen, ignoring his delusional master, swung his blade in a lethal strike, piercing through the blood-drenched throat of yet another unfortunate dire wolf. The way he stood over the monster's carcass after pulling out his sword was so cool, she was absolutely convinced. She had truly encountered a mutated summon. Suddenly, a loot box floated in mid-air, signaling the wolf fangs dropped by the zombie wolf, which could be used for equipment and crafting. Worth 1 yuan. Zhang Manman's eyes turned into little money symbols, and she started drooling as she stared at the battlefield. Whoa, look at that! Equipment and materials are scattered everywhere. Next month's rent is covered. This is all money. Casting aside her image, she scrambled up, waddling greedily toward the monster's body. As she bent down to scavenge, she jumped, clutching her chest as she turned back to whine at Jiang Chen. Geez, you scared me. I thought it was coming for me. Why did you kill another one so fast? I'm starting to lose track of who's the summon here. Even so, glancing at her level 1 undead summoning panel, which allows a maximum of 3 Jiang Chen soldiers, the current count stood at 13. She tugged at her hair, confused. Even if it's a mutated summon, my summoning skill is only level 1, isn't it? Looking at the dozen bloodied wolf carcasses littering the field while her soldier, Jiang Chen, stood there nonchalantly, she could only throw her hands up in defeat. But this is just too ridiculous. Ignoring her chatter, the blade of doom pierced through the crimson snout of yet another ugly wolf. He swept his sword sideways, shaking off the residual blood. The proud skull was sure he had fully adapted to this Jiang Chen body. The zombie wolves in the newbie zone were no longer a threat to him. Golden beams of light repeatedly washed over his lean frame, announcing, "You have leveled up," accompanied by her cheering, "Whoa, leveled up again." The great warrior mused, survival certainly wasn't an issue now, but he never expected to be reborn into the newly opened server of Great Desolate in this manner. Watching her busy scavenging about all the materials. "Rich! I'm rich!" Jiang Chen rubbed his chin, analyzing the situation. So this woman who summoned me must be a player. No vocal cords, so I can't speak. However, his fiery eyes suddenly widened, staring at the blue system interface that had just appeared. He was stunned, but what surprised him even more was this. The god-level evolution system had been activated. Reading the notes carefully, the skull analyzed it thoroughly. The system reminded him that evolution points are earned through hunting beasts. As the host, the player can receive points to complete their own evolution. Destruction points. Killing bosses will grant them. Currently, destruction points are insufficient, it noted. Not activated yet. It seems as long as I keep killing monsters or people, I can evolve. What is this unactivated destruction point? Do I have to kill a boss to get it? Shouldering his sword with a seasoned air, the former king picked the problem apart. Enhancement? Maybe it's for upgrading weapons? Interesting. Even though I participated in the internal beta, I've never heard of this. A built-in system, plus a summon that can evolve on its own. Staring at his skeletal arm amidst the murderous desert, he longed to live again, even as a lowly Jiang Chen soldier. If I keep evolving, what will I become? Just then, the system pinged to announce that the host evolution points met the next requirement, making him go, Immediately, a brilliant notification panel slapped onto his vision. Evolution requirements met. Evolution points, 1101. Destruction points, 100. Consume 100 evolution points to evolve into a bone knight. His empty eye sockets glowed with excitement. It's finally here. My first evolution. Staring at the floating yes or no options, he let out a heavy mental sigh. Well, it's not like I have a choice. With a decisive tap of his bony finger on yes, the skull roared confidently in his mind. Let's see what kind of heaven-defying form this system can turn a bottom-tier summon like me into. A circle of searing lava erupted from the ground, announcing the host's choice to evolve. The transformation began, flames engulfing the Jiang Chen soldier's body to prepare for his rebirth. A pillar of brilliant golden fire shot into the sky like an erupting volcano, completely masking the lean silhouette within. Hidden beneath the holy flames of bone forging, his ribcage radiated a bewitching light, accompanied by the status, Host is evolving. 3 seconds of evolution protection received. HP limit increased by 80%, mana limit increased by 80%. Along with the system notification, all attributes increased by 80%. A badass greatsword forged from fire appeared alongside the text. Obtained exclusive weapon for Bone Knight, bone-searing sword. From the sea of radiant fire, the skull stretched, standing tall with a far more imposing physique. Satisfied, he told himself, it's a success. He joyfully welcomed the system notification. Congratulations to the host for evolving to Tier 2, Bone Knight. Opening his status window, Jiang Chen's eye sockets almost fell out from the shock. Are these stat gains for real? I didn't expect a single evolution to bring such a massive upgrade. HP 653, Attack 352. At this rate, I'll clear out the entire newbie village. The system continued to deliver good news. Obtained exclusive passive skill, Swift Sword Art. You can now wield your sword with greater proficiency. Attack speed increased by 20%. He smirked. A bonus skill too. A 20% attack speed boost compensates for my lack of raw strength as a Jiang Chen. Without hesitation, he swung his new sword, creating a crimson streak that tore through the wind. He nodded, assessing, perfect length. Not bad at all. He marveled at the razor-sharp blade in his hand. The former king confidently asserted that, at this rate, even without using specials techniques, his combat power must have far surpassed that of players at the same level. But his joy was short-lived. A flicker of concern suddenly flashed in Jiang Chen's eyes. Wait a minute. As a summoned creature, if other players discover that I possess consciousness, he imagined being chased to the ends of the earth by a mob of players brandishing their swords. He broke into a cold sweat. He would definitely be labeled as an anomaly. Although he didn't want to get tangled in trouble, trouble was bound to find him sooner or later, so he had to become stronger, fast. Standing under the giant shadows of those powerful guilds, he realized just how insignificant his current status was. Unlike the top-ranked players or guild members, a lone wolf like him had to be strong enough to take on 100 enemies just to survive. I must become stronger than them. Right at that moment, the system incessantly urged the host to quickly obtain evolution points. He looked at the pile of wolf carcasses and smacked his lips. It seemed he needed to earn those evolution points quickly. Killing wolves no longer yielded much, so it was time to change maps. His fiery eyes narrowed as he pondered his two main objectives. There is one thing that absolutely must be clarified, and that is the connection between us. Just how deep is the link between a reborn, summoned creature and its summoner? Turning back to look at the blonde girl, who was busy looting the wolf pelts while mumbling to herself. Wolf skins, wolf bones, wolf meat. It's all money. Skeleton Jiang Chen sighed and made a decision. Before I figure everything out, I still have to bring her along, because in her mind there was only one truth: get rich. She remembered that money in Great Wilderness could seemingly be converted directly into real-world currency, and at a very high exchange rate too. The game had just launched. This was the perfect opportunity to make a fortune. Suddenly, she looked up, her round eyes wide as she stared at his new appearance. Whoa, little skeleton. How come you feel so different from just a moment ago? The former great god could only remain speechless, thinking to himself that there was no doubt about it. This was a total newbie. She ran around admiring his new weapon, exclaiming excitedly, "You even changed your sword, did you level up? That's amazing. You know how to fight and you can even change colors. You truly are a mutated summoned creature." Carried away by her excitement, she hugged Jiang Chen and jumped for joy. Reaching the peak of life depends on you. Wait for me to finish picking up this loot, then we'll wait for the next wave of wolves to respawn. We'll sell the materials, and we'll be rich overnight. Pulling off her tight grip, Jiang Chen crossed his arms to signal a refusal, thinking to himself, "No, I have to try communicating with her." Did that leave her looking dejected? "You don't want to?" The former great god immediately gestured and pointed around for a while until she finally caught on. "You mean we have to go somewhere else to hunt?" He stood with his hands on his hips, feeling smug. My expressive skills are truly perfect. Who would have guessed the summoner would suddenly drop to her knees, clinging to Jiang Chen's leg and throwing a tantrum? "I don't want to. There are so many monsters here, and you level up so fast. I love this place. I'm not leaving." The skeleton sweated as he looked down at his own summoner. I've never seen her type before. Looking at the respawn timer for the zombie wolves 30.5 seconds, he analyzed the situation. The monsters here had been cleared out so quickly that it wouldn't take long for other players to notice. One or two players might be manageable, but he feared running into a high-level guild, dragging a newbie through the area to farm. Meanwhile, the crying continued at his feet. "I'm begging you, let's farm for a little longer." With tears streaming down her face, she pouted and pleaded, "I'm begging you." But his reason told the great god that the Great Wilderness world didn't have a red name penalty system yet. Killing people for loot or stealing spawn points in the wilderness was common practice. If this idiot got killed by other players, the screen would shatter into a blood-red warning, signaling a grim consequence. He might be unsummoned. Looking at the girl blinking blankly, the skeleton sighed helplessly. Dealing with this kind of novice player, I have no choice but to do this. No sooner said than done, he tucked her under his arm and took off running. His clueless master struggled and cursed, "Hey, what are you doing? Put me down, little skeleton. Why are you rebelling? I order you, put me down. I'm not going. I still have so many materials left to pick up." she screamed, heartbroken over the lost loot. Put me down, that's money, that whole pile is money. Jiang Chen kept sprinting, his ambition burning bright. I, the reborn one, have no more burdens now. Now, I can use my knowledge of the game's rules to seize the initiative. His glowing red eyes in the darkness reflected the longing of someone who once stood at the peak of glory. The first kills of those hidden bosses, the rare equipment in the game. I must pocket it all. Facing the jagged, terrifying fangs of a beast in his subconscious, he had already locked onto his target. He decided, I'll start right there. Imagining the scene where players in full armor were still swiped away by the beast, shattering their shields, and seeing the player killed notifications popping up repeatedly. While facing the giant red-eyed shadowy beast, the skeleton still smirked. It'll be a bit dangerous, but it's worth it, because the destination the former great god was aiming for was the place where giant monster footprints were imprinted on the ground. Near the newbie village, there was a hidden dungeon. The massive shadow of a savage bear with blood-red eyes was currently chewing on the armored arm of an unlucky player, marking the presence of an extremely dangerous dungeon. Savage Bear Mountain. Meanwhile, in a safe area, the blonde girl was blushing fiercely while looking at her pathetic stat board. Name: Jiang Manman. Level 3, no subclass advancement yet. Necromancer class ranked over 5 billionth in the entire server. Standing at the foot of the looming, fog-covered Savage Bear Mountain, a miserable scream suddenly echoed from high above. Ah! Looking up at the steep slope, a chaotic scene unfolded as players scrambled to run for their lives. Running and cursing. Damn it, who pulled the aggro? The monsters are here. The squad leader just got one-shotted. Run, run, run. You bastards, don't leave me behind. Right behind the breathless runner, the giant drooling maw with razor-sharp fangs of the mad bear opened wide. Lunging forward with a blood-curdling roar, as if to swallow its prey whole, the bald player, already suffering from a bleeding status effect, looked back at the looming shadow radiating murderous intent. He wailed in despair. I can't die here, this gear, and all my gold. That's my entire life's fortune. But suddenly, his eyes brightened, and his mud-streaked face lit up with hope as he saw a silhouette land nearby. My teammates are here to save me. He wept with joy, reaching out his arms in an emotional, tearful welcome. I knew you guys would come back before he could finish, his face froze solid. When he realized his savior was actually the flaming red-eyed Jiang Chen, still lugging a busty blonde girl under his arm, the poor guy's face crumpled in pure terror. He shrieked until his throat felt raw. A ghost! A ghost! He was being carried like a sack of rice. Jiang Man squeezed her eyes shut, sobbing and thrashing, hurling insults at him. Hey, what kind of monster are you? Ah! Put me down! Before she could say another word, the system coldly announced that the player had perished. The guy's body, drained of HP, dissolved into a flurry of data particles, leaving Skeleton looking down, muttering, did they finish draining his health already? The ferocious black bear, having its prey snatched away right in front of it, went berserk. Its eyes turned blood red as it roared in rage, drool flying through the air. The system immediately triggered a red alert. You have drawn the attention of the savage claw bear. At level 7, the blonde girl was so terrified she was trembling and sobbing. I told you, this place is way too dangerous. Even level 5 players can't take them on. Let's run. Ignoring her screams, Jiang Chen darted forward smoothly, thinking smugly, my luck isn't half bad. Looks like the players guarding this spot were just wiped out, so nobody should be around to bother me. I really thought I'd have to clear out the other players just to get in here. Glancing toward the dark thicket where rows of glowing red eyes were staring out, the former pro gamer smirked. Plus, these guys even helped me group the bears together. Not only is this great for grinding mobs, but it also helps me meet the prerequisite to spawn the hidden boss. Once he reached the ideal spot, Skeleton dropped his master to the ground with a thud, making her groan in pain and rub her backside. Ow, ow, ow! Furious at being manhandled, she scrambled to her feet, glaring at the skinny back casually walking away. Little Skeleton, are you trying to rebel? I am your master. Her voice died in her throat as she saw her summon, Jiang Chen, calmly drawing his greatsword, ready to face the horde of giant bears closing in from every side. Surrounded, perfect. All the wild mobs are gathered here now. The pressure from the bloodthirsty red eyes in the darkness made the mage girl break into a cold sweat, her face twisting into a desperate, awkward smile. Haha, little Skeleton, can we just go? I'm begging you, let's get out of here. Unexpectedly, before she could finish, Jiang Chen had already shot forward like a blur, leaving only after-images that left her completely stunned. A system notification chimed. You have drawn the attention of the savage claw bear. The former king lunged straight into the beast's maw, ignoring his master's desperate screams. "You skeleton, why won't you listen to reason?" Crouching low to bolt across the ground, Skeleton remained ice cold, executing a lure strategy. First, he had to draw all the aggro onto himself. He whipped around, nimbly dodging to make the bears growl and change course to chase him. He calculated everything precisely so he wouldn't have to worry about the woman anymore, then leveraged his combat techniques and his deep knowledge of the game's AI. The plan was in motion. A bear lunged madly, its foul-smelling maw snapping shut. Jiang Chen roared, "Jiang Sword," determined to round them all up. Knowing the attack patterns by heart, Skeleton stepped back lightly, dodging a massive claw strike that shattered the ground. The hulking beast overextended, stumbling forward. He coolly tilted his head to avoid it, silently reciting his skill commands. Next up, the counterattack. Just as expected, using the beast's own momentum against it, the former champion leaped high into the air, performing a perfect somersault over the bear's head, as lightly as a feather, landing with a swing of his greatsword that sent flaming slashes sweeping through the pack. He focused every ounce of his attention. "With my current HP, I can't take more than 2 hits. I have to stay untouched." Watching him kite and dodge with godlike grace, Jiang Manman stood frozen, her cheeks flushed as she whispered in total awe, "He's amazing. Those bears can't even touch little Skeleton." Furthermore, not only was he a master of dodging, but Jiang Chen also used the momentum to jump onto the giant bear's swinging arm. He muttered, "That's not all." He did a backflip and landed precisely on the beast's head, leaving it staring blankly, completely confused by what was happening. The veteran then slid down the back of the roaring bear, calculating confidently, "I can even trick the savage claw bear into attacking its own pack." He knew his advantages perfectly through his evolution stat board. Movement speed, 2.0. A normal level 3 player's movement speed was 1.0. He smirked. "As Jiang Chen, under this physics engine, at the same speed, I'll always be sharper than the other players." The savage claw bear had high attack and health, but was slow. His speed advantage was absolute. A massive claw strike swiped through the air, but in the eyes of the former king, everything was under control. The weakness of a savage claw bear lay in its head and its ankles. The rapid sword technique notification flashed. Attack speed increased by 20%. Skeleton dropped his center of gravity and delivered a lethal strike to the beast's leg. Just like that, he moved as smoothly as if he were dancing, leaving streaks of blood on the monster's massive legs, pushing his speed advantage to the limit. The shimmering sword energy sliced through thick hides, hitting with pinpoint accuracy to shatter their joints. A shocking scene unfolded as the entire pack of giant bears buckled and trembled on the ground, leaving the girl in the distance stammering. What is this?" The mastermind behind the carnage walked away casually, the bears now completely paralyzed. Next, all he had to do was strike the vital points. Standing tall before his helpless prey, he raised his flaming greatsword high, dealing double critical damage to finish them off. However, the savage claw bear was known as a newbie killer for a reason. At that moment, the bear reared back and roared, unleashing deadly, jagged bolts of lightning. As expected, the system warned that after their limbs were crippled, they had a high chance of using active skills, leading to a desperate struggle. The savage claw bear had a chance to use the special Thunder Peak skill. The shockwave and electricity would paralyze the player instantly. The pro gamer reached peak focus. A thunderbolt exploded, engulfing the area and forcing Skeleton to raise his sword in defense. The girl hid behind a bush, screaming in terror. "Ah, what is that?" Blinding lightning struck the ground, trying to claim its target. The former king calmly reviewed his strategy. Once a player is paralyzed, they rush in to finish them off. The grotesque face of the level 7 beast appeared in the lightning flash. This was exactly why they were the ultimate newbie killers among gamers. Seeing the danger, the blonde girl frantically reached out to cast a spell to recall her summon. "It's no good, little Skeleton won't be able to take that hit." She tried to summon him back, but ironically, the spell seemed ineffective, leaving her face frozen in shock. The giant bear seized the opportunity, roaring amidst the lightning storm, ready to charge and end it all. Yet, amidst the terrifying electric onslaught, Jiang Chen stood tall and completely unshaken. He affirmed with confidence, but they calculated one thing wrong. The system interface displayed his racial trait, lesser paralysis immunity. The great god's eye sockets glowed with a sinister light. "As an undead, do I even have flesh and blood?" Tearing through the electric web, Jiang Chen vaulted into the air, far from being stunned or incapacitated. Like a meteorite crashing from above, his sword plunged into the massive beast's body, exploiting the opening perfectly. After using its thunderous roar skill, the claw bear has a 3-second vulnerability. That's just enough time for a ground-shattering finishing blow, accompanied by a cold verdict to strike its weakness. Double critical damage, an instant kill. Jiang Manman's jaw dropped, clutching her staff. She stammered, watching this legendary comeback. He was just too strong. Pulling the blood-stained Qing sword from the cold, massive carcass, Jiang Chen stood tall, preparing for his next target. He calculated in his head. I've already memorized this claw bear's attack pattern, and combined with Jiang Chen's current traits. As he pointed his sword toward the ground in a domineering stance, the system notifications flooded in. You have received 50 evolution points. You have received 30 experience points. The skull smiled smugly. He could easily slaughter enemies without losing a single bone. The rewards were truly bountiful. His red glowing eyes sparked with an unstoppable fervor. I'll just grind right here until my next evolution. Beneath his feet lay a literal mountain of bare corpses. Jiang Chen sat regally at the peak as the system cheered, notifying him of his level up. Current level, B4. Jiang Manman cheered from below. He leveled up, and he even bagged a hidden boss. The mistress happily wiggled and shook her fists. Her cheeks flushed with extreme excitement. My little skeleton is just too powerful, and his movements are so incredibly fluid. Indeed, watching those brilliant sword streaks slashing repeatedly like a storm, she couldn't help but think. This was exactly like the image of the gaming legend that flooded her mind. A legendary player in the online gaming world, a special guest of the internal beta test. That steely back swinging the sword made her choke up. It's the great god Jiang Chen's technique. They're exactly the same. Beads of sweat trickled down. She blinked in disbelief. No way, could it be? But she quickly dismissed the delusional thought, smiling happily with her hands on her cheeks, while Jiang Chen, behind her, labored to carry the bear carcasses. Could this be a reincarnation skill that the great wilderness dev team designed specifically for Jiang Chen? And they even let me summon him. Patting her face to stay focused, Jiang Manman reminded herself, seeing the constant influx of experience points. Jiang Manman, this isn't the time to think about such things. Being able to summon him is already a huge win. This little skeleton, the more I look at him, the more handsome he gets. With her eyes wide and mouth agape, even drooling a bit, she looked at the sparkling loot scattered everywhere. And look at that. The ground is covered in gold and materials. As she struggled to pry a massive bear fang loose, she muttered, since my luck is this good, and I've got such a powerful summoned beast. Why won't this item pick up? Obviously I have to maximize his utility. Turning to wave her hands in a purely capitalistic, scheming cheer, she shouted, go for it, little skeleton. My beautiful life as a lady depends entirely on you. The skull, busy cleaning up, suddenly broke into a cold sweat and shivered. What's going on? Why do I have the feeling we're targeted by something? But ignoring her, as he saw his evolution points hit 42,000 out of 100,000, and the remaining bears cowering in sheer terror, the great god stroked his chin, analyzing, seems like I can finish the next evolution quickly, though these points are coming in a bit slow. Just then, the system suddenly flashed an enthusiastic notification praising him. The host's strength is truly awe-inspiring. Along with it came a notification that an evolution path had been unlocked, leaving Jiang Chen confused. Huh? An evolution path? Looking closer, he was stunned by the dazzling system board, signaling the host's exceptional performance. A hidden evolution path had been opened, offering 3 options, including a mysterious black silhouette priced at 2,000 points. Making the former legend think in surprise. I didn't expect there to be a hidden evolution path. However, staring at that nameless black silhouette with its exorbitant price of 2,000 points, Jiang Chen's eye sockets twitched. He muttered a calculation. Plus, this hidden path costs twice as much as the normal ones. Even so, the hesitation lasted only a fleeting moment. The red fire in his sockets burned with determination once again. Although choosing this path might require more time to grind, he glanced at the battlefield littered with bare corpses, and the skull clicked its teeth with satisfaction. But high investment means high returns. Anyway, since I wanted to lure out that hidden boss, I would have had to clear out these wild mobs eventually. Since it's on the way, no time like the present. His bony finger decisively poked that mysterious black icon. The system immediately sealed the deal with a bright notification. You have selected the hidden evolution path. Immediately after the operation, he swung sword across his back, striking an incredibly cool pose. He confidently declared, "Of course I'd choose the hidden path. You guys must be curious to see what this hidden evolution actually is, right?" Along with that bark, the fear was reflected in the sweaty, terrified faces of the two unlucky bears left, staring at the skeletal god of death. A gloomy atmosphere blanketed the entire mountain peak, with black ravens circling in the gray sky of the fierce bear mountain borders. Suddenly, a roar of intimidation echoed from deep within the forest, followed by a giant bear silhouette charging in to bite and shred. But Jiang Chen easily sidestepped, then quickly closed in on the prey. In a blink, the sword in the skull's hand flashed with brilliant golden light, unleashing a fatal slash that tore through the darkness. The clean finishing blow earned him the familiar notification floating above his head. Received 10 evolution points. Received 10 experience points. He drove his heavy greatsword into the ground with dignity after the slaughter ended. Then he leisurely reached out to brush some imaginary dust off the blade, looked around, and affirmed that the one he just took down must have been the last bear in this area. But, when he opened his status board to check, his eye sockets darkened at the sight of the 19,800 out of 20,000 evolution points. And he grumbled in annoyance. The higher my level gets, the fewer evolution points I earn. And of course, I'm exactly 20 points short. This is honestly so infuriating. He tilted his skull to the side, let out a helpless sigh, and scanned the wasteland littered with carcasses. The system timer for the bear respawn read 1 hour, 20 minutes, and 5 seconds. The skeleton sighed, concluding that this area wouldn't be spawning any more low-level bears for a while. "Whatever," he muttered, plopping down onto a large bear carcass to comfort himself. "Even though I didn't get enough evolution points, at least I managed to wipe out all the bears here, within the time limit and level requirements." No sooner had he finished speaking than a glowing purple notification box flashed before his eyes, replacing his congratulations with a warning. A hidden boss had appeared nearby. He turned toward the cave entrance, which was leaking a mysterious deep purple miasma. The former legend hoisted his sword onto his shoulder, ready to take center stage. So, the hidden boss of Savage Bear Mountain is finally showing itself. Interesting, I have to see what this thing looks like. He recalled his past knowledge, watching the massive vortex of energy swirling intensely. He refreshed his memory. The conditions to trigger the hidden boss in this area were incredibly harsh. You had to be under level 10 and clear out every single mob here within 45 minutes to spawn it. He leaped onto a high tree branch to get a better view, pointing his sword at the center of the energy flow. Honestly, that's such a ridiculously strict requirement. Most amateur players would never figure it out. Sure enough, the boss was hiding right there. From the dense shadows of the cave, a pair of glowing magenta eyes appeared, eerie and filled with a killing intent. The massive silhouette of the ruler emerged step by step, radiating a suffocating pressure, accompanied by a bright red system title, Lord of Savage Bear, Level 15 Hidden Boss. Watching the monster loom ahead, he calmly observed it from a distance, muttering to himself. The great thing about low-level bosses is that, as long as you don't enter their aggro range, they just stand there like statues. Wait a minute. Does the system even count me as a player right now? Probably not. He swung his gleaming sword, a bold idea flashing through his empty skull. Maybe I should just charge in and take a swing at it? But the moment he saw the monster's spine bristling with sharp, electricity-charged spikes, he immediately ditched that suicidal plan. Never mind. Once the Savage Bear boss activates its skills, it's a huge pain for early-game players to deal with. If I tried to force a kill just by relying on speed and experience, the margin for error would be way too slim. He tapped his skull, beads of sweat forming on his brow as he thought it over. He tried to dig through his memories. What was that special skill the Savage Bear boss used again? I remember during the internal beta, the first time I accidentally spawned it, I ended up getting chased all over the map. Frustrated by his fading memory, the former king sighed and walked away, sword over his shoulder. Forget it, I can't remember. This guy is definitely not easy to mess with. There were just too many early-game mini-bosses like this. I can't keep track of all of them. It's safer to finish my evolution and come back to deal with it later. He glanced back at the respawn timer. 1 hour, 20 minutes, and 32 seconds. Jiang Chen stood tiny beneath the Bear Lord's massive shadow, clicking his tongue in regret. He had no choice but to bite the bullet and wait for the small mobs to respawn. While he was grumbling, Jiang Chen suddenly looked down at his hands, which were emitting a faint, magical purple energy. He clenched his fist, quietly amazed. Honestly, this feeling is pretty incredible. So this is what it's like to be a summoned creature. His eye sockets glowed as he noticed a thin thread of energy connecting to his own body. Is this what it feels like to be a familiar? I can actually see the link between me and that girl. Following the invisible thread weaving through the dense canopy, the skeleton strode forward, sword in hand, deep in thought. Ever since I was reborn as a summon, I've always felt this connection to her. To be safe, I should probably find her first. Quickly, he ducked behind an ancient tree, muttering as he examined the link. Even though she's quite far away, I have this strange sense of what she's doing without even needing to look. Glancing down into the rocky ravine, he was left speechless as he caught sight of his master, rear end in the air, frantically looting the massive beast's corpse. Still looting bodies over there, huh? Suddenly, the red fires in the former king's eye sockets turned icy cold. He jolted in alert, whipping his head around to look into the distance. Right. A group of well-equipped players was approaching from the cliffside, led by a bald guy who looked around in confusion. Boss, I don't see any monsters left. Is the game bugged? This place has been farmed way too clean. The leader in armor immediately scolded him. You idiot. Someone already cleared this out. Saying that, the leader pointed his sword at the cold black bear carcass, lying abandoned on the ground, and snapped. Can't you see that bear corpse? Standing before the chaotic battlefield, the leader gnashed his teeth in anger. Damn it, I don't know which bastard dared to farm our Tiger Beast Guild's territory. The bald guy hurriedly guessed. Boss, you think it might be people from the Fist sect? A guy with a bowl cut and shield, his face drenched in sweat, reported nervously. I heard that a few days ago, the vice president was competing with the Fist sect over this valley. The president already gave orders. If we run into them, we have to. Hearing this, the leader grabbed the soldier by the collar, hoisting him up and glaring with a threat. If you dare report this to the president, I'll kill you. The guy waved his hands in terror, trembling. What? No, I won't say anything. The leader let him go and raised his mace, ordering his men to scatter and search. Spread out and find them. The body hasn't vanished, so they can't have gone far. If you don't find them, report directly to the president. You think there's a reward for you otherwise? Looking up from the foot of the cliff, the leader shouted angrily, We have to find them. The answer was a chorus of, Yes, sir. The sound of clanking armor echoed, unaware that Jiang Chen was crouching right above their heads. The bowl-cut soldier was swinging his sword around, grumbling to himself, Man, the boss only knows how to boss others around. Where am I supposed to find anyone? What if there are still bears left that come back to eat me alive? Man, you're always just ordering people around. Where am I supposed to find those things? What if there are still some bears left that'll swarm and swallow me whole? How much did you spend to get all this gear? Just then the blonde girl's excited voice echoed down from the rock ledge. I'm rich. I'm totally rich. The female mage hugged the glowing purple crystal orb, her cheeks flushing with excitement. Heh, purple materials again. I'm gonna make a fortune. How much is this worth? Unfortunately, her alluring silhouette caught the eye of a patrolling soldier. Found ya. The soldier drew his sword, pointed it right at her and barked, Hey, where the hell did you crawl out from? The female mage jumped in shock and turned around, while the soldier squinted to identify if she was a heavenly player. Seeing she was all alone, he acted all cocky and aggressive. Who are you? What are you doing in our guild's territory? The men in the distance heard the commotion and rushed over. Tai, what's going on? Oh, there are 3 more of them. The soldier quickly turned to report to his boss. Boss, found a suspicious person. Surrounded by a bunch of brutal-looking men, the clueless girl broke into a cold sweat. She forced a polite, awkward smile to try and defuse the situation. I'm just here looking for my summon. He ran off on his own, so I'm here to find him. The captain and the rogue with the bow stepped forward slowly, smirking in a sleazy way. Oh, a summon that runs away? That's a first. Don't play dumb. Where are the others in your party? The girl blinked, looking clueless. Huh? Party? She answered honestly. I don't have a party. Then she pointed up and explained further. I just came here with my summon. Thinking she was lying, the captain turned and ordered the scummy archer. Got it. Shadow killer, tie her up. Don't let her run off or log out by suicide. Forcing her into combat mode, the shadow killer pulled his hood down and gave a devious grin. Heh, you got it. They demanded to know where her teammates were. Seeing them closing in, the female mage panicked, stepped back, and began to chant a defense spell, stammering, what do you guys want? The rogue reached out with his filthy hands, feeling smug and taunting. Humph, still want to resist? I like that spirit. Suddenly, the girl stopped and hummed. The reason was that the shadow killer had just used his detection skill on her. He retracted his glowing green eye and reported to his boss. Boss, she doesn't seem to be lying. He crossed his arms and looked down at the trembling girl with contempt. She's just a level 9 necromancer. Jiang Chen, the summon, is slow and has low attack power. A single bear could probably take care of it. He turned around, leaned down to inspect the scarred giant bear carcass, and analyzed it clearly. The wounds on the bear monster on the ground were clean and precise, just like injuries caused by a sword-wielding class. And most importantly, the system screen displayed a blue text, showing this player was capable of forming a party. The captain raised his chin. She really isn't in a party, he added, ignoring their own theories. The silly girl clutched her loot tight, stomping her feet and pouting, thinking to herself, even if you kill me, I'm not handing over this loot. Putting everything together, the Shadow Killer concluded that someone else had cleared the map. She was probably just a player who mistakenly wandered into the bear zone. The captain stroked his chin and nodded. Is that so? The concept of Kleeplia players refers to those who follow behind large parties to scavenge for scraps, also known as bone pickers. Unable to get any valuable secrets, the captain turned away, flashed a lewd smirk, and handed the reward to his subordinate. Got it. She's yours. The archer and the Shadow Killer laughed crudely and excitedly. Heh heh, thanks boss. Immediately the captain waved his hand and gave a decisive order to the rest. Taite, Dalu, we split up and keep searching. Priority is finding the others, otherwise we'll lose out on all the profits. The shield-bearing soldier waved his hand, looking disappointed. Wait boss. I still wanted to watch Lao Tam and the girl play a little game. As soon as the order was given, the Shadow Killer rogue vanished like a gust of wind, rushing right up to her. A perverted grin spread across his face. Heh, little girl, don't move, or I'll kill you right now. Facing that terrifying speed, the female mage froze completely, unable to react in time. She only managed to gasp. So fast. Right after, the rogue reached out with his greedy hands toward the trembling girl, whispering taunts. Do you know what the most realistic part of this great wilderness's game is? While the silly girl squeezed her eyes shut, calling for Jiang Chen in her heart. Why aren't you here yet? The pervert's grin grew wider. He smirked. It's the sense of touch. But instantly, Jiang Chen's hulking frame, wrapped in purple killing content, appeared right behind him. The rogue, busy feeling smug, suddenly stiffened and let out a grunt, filled with confusion as he felt a cold, bony hand land on his shoulder. At the same time, the captain, standing far away, jumped in shock, his mouth hanging open. A blood-curdling, invisible scream echoed through the area from the subordinate. The captain's eyes widened, bloodshot veins popping out. He yelled in a panic, "What?" as he witnessed the terrifying scene before him. It turned out Jiang Chen had stepped in to protect the blushing girl. With tears in her eyes, the girl slumped her shoulders. Jiang Chen, you're finally back. I've been pretending for so long I couldn't take it anymore. Leaving the captain stunned, the skeleton soldier ambushed the Shadow Killer. How is this possible? The Shadow Killer rogue collapsed to the ground, crying and wailing with snot and tears running down his face. Ah, my arm! The two accomplices behind them were drenched in cold sweat, clueless about what had happened. What just happened? Jiang Chen coldly tossed the girl over his shoulder like a sack of rice. The shield-bearing soldier stood there, frozen. Wait, a skeleton swordsman? A necromancer summon? He widened his eyes, wondering, could those wounds on the bear monster really have been caused by her summon? The captain was so mad he could burst, veins bulging in his neck. Damn it, it was that bear her summon killed. We've been played by this chick. The shield soldier panicked. Boss, what do we do? A roar of fury was the only answer. Damn it, if they get away, how am I supposed to answer to the guild leader? No hesitation. The captain pointed toward the distant mountain and ordered, chase them, causing a flock of birds in the forest to burst into flight in panic. Sure enough, the system interface immediately revealed the nasty origins of the Tiger Beast Guild, consisting of a level 12 berserker captain and a bunch of rogue, shield knight, and striker lackeys who always relied on their numbers to bully other players in the Bear Mountain area. They chased the tracks, and one of them yelled, "They're heading that way," breaking the silence of the desolate cliffs. Ignoring the wind whipping against his face, Jiang Chen ran for his The girl, tucked under his arm, cheered happily. Jiang Chen, you're finally back. I thought I'd never see you again. Behind them, the captain chased closely, carrying a heavy battle axe. His face filled with murderous rage, he shouted, "Damn it! Stop right there!" The girl hugged Jiang Chen's neck tightly, her big eyes sparkling with newfound confidence as she made a suggestion. The girl tucked under his arm cheered happily. Chen, you're finally back. I thought I'd never see you again. Behind them, the squad leader, clutching his heavy battle axe, was closing in, his face twisted with murderous rage, yelling, "Damn it! Get back here!" The young mistress hugged Jiang Chen's neck tightly, her big round eyes sparkling with confidence as she suggested, "Jiang Chen, put me down. I can run on my own. I might even be able to help you fight." But the skeletal guy stayed silent. Jiang Chen glanced back, his eye sockets flashing with an intense crimson fire. This left her wondering, is he really not going to put me down? No way, that can't be it. Her wild imagination took off, her cheeks flushing bright red as she bashfully covered her face. Jiang Chen, is he feeling protective? He wouldn't actually do anything to me, would he? Even though Jiang Chen looked incredibly cool up close, he was still just Jiang Chen. In reality, Vu Fam was always there to shatter her romantic fantasies. Without a shred of mercy, Jiang Chen swung his arm and tossed his mistress straight into the thicket, making her let out a startled shriek before landing face first in the dense foliage. She chewed on a mouthful of leaves, glaring through the brush as she muttered angrily, "Ugh, hey, what the heck are you doing?" Just then, the pursuers came thundering past her hiding spot, shouting as they gave chase, completely oblivious to the bushes nearby. Huddled deep in the thicket, she peeked out at Jiang Chen's lean silhouette and suddenly felt tears welling up. Jiang Chen is doing this to lead those players away. Facing the enemy encirclement, Jiang Chen exhaled a chilling mist, coolly assessing the situation. Sigh, guess I have no choice but to deal with them. Watching the three thugs rush toward him, he analyzed their formation with a razor-sharp gaze. With a tank suppressing him and long-range harassment scouts, they were a textbook murder-for-loot squad. On the other hand, he glanced at the bandit clutching his severed arm in agony on the ground, thinking, good thing that sneak attack took their archer out of the fight entirely, and his mental fortitude seems oddly pathetic. Regaining the initiative, Jiang Chen channeled his energy, swinging his rusted sword to unleash a violet shockwave that tore through the ground. Mumbling, "That's how it is." Only then did the group snap out of it. The shield-bearer panicked, reporting, "Boss, that woman disappeared. The summon is still here, they must be hiding nearby." The captain was fuming, his teeth grinding as he roared, "Damn it, we got played by that brat. I never thought she could control a summon this precisely. Search the whole area. She's probably hiding somewhere close." He broke into a cold sweat, his sinister eyes scanning the woods with deep suspicion. How did she manage to grind through so many field mobs on her own in such a short time? Was it for the levels? Or the materials? Something feels wrong. Sensing the energy surging from Jiang Chen, the captain grew even more apprehensive. Besides, there was something eerie about this patch of forest. Better to figure it out before attacking. Planning to use his subordinates as cannon fodder, he barked, "Lao Tam, use your scouting skills to check the perimeter." The mystery was solved when a quiver of arrows fell onto the barren dirt. The bandit Lao Tam had completely snapped from the loss of his hand. He drew his twin daggers and shrieked in rage, "Damn it! A measly summon dared to chop off my hand. You're dead." Ignoring the captain's warnings, Lao Tam regained his footing. The bandit was blinded by his need for revenge. "I'm going to kill you." Right on cue, Jiang Chen's dry teeth curled up, forming a sinister, bone-chilling grin. Focusing power into his hand, the crimson fire flared intensely. Jiang Chen pointed a finger toward the ground in a provocative gesture. The bandit frantically hurled a barrage of daggers that whistled through the air, shouting insults. Jiang Chen spun gracefully, dancing with his sword, easily swatting away the projectiles with violet sword energy, thinking smugly, "Perfect." He took the bait. The counterforce was so strong that the two daggers veered off course, flying straight into the dense thicket where his mistress was hiding. The captain watched Jiang Chen retreat and shouted angrily, "Damn it, he actually struck first. But it doesn't look like an ambush. Since that's the case, no time to hesitate." All three thugs leaped into the air simultaneously, their weapons gleaming, aiming directly for Jiang Chen's head, shouting to take the initiative and crush the summon. The knight dove from above, swinging his hammer while screaming, "Kill it, then go find that woman." Meanwhile, Jiang Chen looked up calmly, thinking, indifferently, "Hasn't it triggered yet?" The knight's earth-shattering hammer blow smashed into the ground, creating a deep crater and sending dirt and stone flying everywhere. However, the attack missed. The captain's eyes widened in shock, cold sweat pouring down as he gasped, "That's incredible speed." Suddenly, a burst of malevolent energy erupted nearby, leaving the players completely bewildered. Low-level skeletons summoned by a necromancer shouldn't have speed like that, should they? At the same time, a red warning frame flickered incessantly, throwing the group into a panic. Huh? What the hell is that? The captain's face drained of color as he screamed. This is the system alert. We've been marked by the master of the mountain bear boss. A massive black shadow with eerie glowing red eyes slowly rose from the darkness, leaving the whole group frozen as the mountain bear boss dropped from the air onto the clearing. The shield bearer turned pale, stuttering, "Be boss. What the hell just flew in?" He immediately realized this was the hidden boss the vice guild leader had been hunting. The captain broke into a cold sweat, screaming at the top of his lungs in desperation. "Why is the boss's aggro on us? Scatter. Get out of here. It's using a massive AoE." Immediately, the beast unleashed a destructive blow against the ground, creating a shockwave that sent the captain flying into the air. After the impact, the ill-fated bandit lay dead in a pool of blood with a bright red notification. Player, Dace his companions as wailed in grief, Lao Tam. Faced with the overwhelming power of the level 15 mountain bear master, the shield bearer trembled. The captain gritted his teeth, analyzing the situation. Why did the hidden boss show up out of nowhere? Could it be that the girl's target was actually this hidden boss all along? The giant beast threw its head back and roared, radiating killing intent. The system announced, "Mountain Bear Master has activated, enraged bear." Seeing the situation had gone to hell, the captain and the remaining thugs scrambled to run for their lives. "Damn it, fall back. We can't handle this." They abandoned the shield bearer, who called out helplessly, "Hey, captain, wait for me." Before the shield bearer could even process what was happening, a wicked force lifted him into the air. "Huh? I'm floating?" The captain looked back in horror. "What? This gravitational pull, the boss is using storm force." The shield bearer screamed in despair as he was pulled toward the bear's maw. "It's the boss's magic gravity skill. Captain, I can't break free." The captain helplessly shouted orders. "Raise your shield. Block the damage. Defend first." While they were sweating bullets and struggling for their lives, Jiang Chen sat in the bushes, calmly resting his chin on his hand, enjoying the show. "Oh right. I remember now. The mountain bear boss's skills are Storm Force and Enraged Bear. Yeah, it's definitely not easy to deal with." Jiang Chen leisurely analyzed the beast's attacks. The boss's skills shouldn't last much longer. Let's see how long they can hold out. Meanwhile, the squad leader was frantically shouting for his lackey. Before long, it was the squad leader's turn to be dragged away by the gravitational pull. He cursed viciously. "Damn it, we've been played by that bitch. She knew the boss was there all along. She purposely used a summon to bait us." Glancing over to see Jiang Chen standing there so casually, he gritted his teeth, guessing, the summon is still here, she's still nearby, watching the show. Suddenly, as if by luck, the pulling force stopped. The squad leader slammed into the ground, exhaling in relief. The suction is gone. Grabbing the golden opportunity, he scrambled up to chase after his lackey. "My chance. I'm out of here. My HP is almost bottomed out." He seethed with resentment, calculating the massive losses. "I never expected anyone to actually find the hidden mountain bear boss." As he ran, he plotted, "I need to pull back quickly and report the boss's location to the guild leader." But he suddenly froze, alert. "Huh?" The squad leader slammed on the brakes, turning back to look at the empty clearing, full of suspicion. Where did that skeleton soldier go? Instantly, his pupils contracted, his face turning pale. Sweat poured down as he felt a bone-chilling killing intent right behind him. From mid-air, Jiang Chen swooped down like a ghost, slashing his sword and taking out the lackey before he could even scream. The player deceased notification popped up clearly. Seeing Jiang Chen standing tall over his subordinate's corpse, the squad leader's spirit shattered. "What is this? We're getting wiped out by a summon." The lackey's legs buckled, collapsing into a pool of fresh blood. The squad leader could only grit his teeth and curse in desperation. "Damn it!" Jiang Chen scratched his chin, looking totally relaxed, while the squad leader, covered in wounds, silently cursed that damn woman, desperate to report the hidden boss. Jiang Chen gave a mocking thumbs down. Ignoring the squad leader's dying breaths and his intent to report everything to the guild leader, the giant mountain bear lunged forward, delivering a massive slap that sent him to the afterlife. The system coldly announced, "Player Hao Kao has died," perfectly concluding the skeleton's snipe the winner plan. Amidst the falling rubble, the system chimed with the good news, 20 evolution points received. Points are capped. Do you wish to evolve? Right at the cliff's edge, facing the ear-splitting roar of the giant bear, Jiang Chen calmly confirmed yes, starting his transformation. Ignoring the gale force winds and debris flying everywhere, the skeleton stood his ground, waiting for the system's miracle. The beast gnashed its jet teeth and roared to intimidate him, but he couldn't care less. He firmly pressed yes once more to confirm the evolution. Instantly, a blinding blue bolt of energy struck from the sky, enveloping the summon. The shockwave from the upgrade was so powerful it blew all the surrounding boulders far away. The hidden boss opened its foul-smelling maw to devour its prey, but a glowing, sturdy skeleton arm blocked it right between its sharp fangs. The badass form of the Tier 3 Assault Skeleton Guardian appeared, complete with armor and a billowing cloak. The system countdown for the evolution protection dropped from 3 seconds to 1. As the protection ended, his fiery red eyes flashed with murderous intent. He proudly unlocked a brand new skill, Assault Bone Armor, Level 1, Arrow Form. As the invincibility wore off, a brutal X-shaped burst of damage slammed into the boss, tearing through the air and carving deep into its arm. The system chirped with more good news. Quicksword Mastery upgraded to Level 2, increasing attack speed by 40%. Seeing this, Jiang Chen chuckled. I'm very satisfied with this attack speed. He quickly analyzed the situation. Hidden Mountain Bear Boss, typical bear-type monster. Its weaknesses are still the joints and the neck. Having mastered his opponent, he stepped forward heroically, purple aura surging as he drew his sword and taunted. Come and get me. The beast's eerie eyes flashed with crimson in the darkness, as if roaring back, let's see what you've got. The death scythe bear claws swiped down, shattering the ground, but Jiang Chen swerved away as light as a feather, exclaiming, fast! He backpedaled to keep a safe distance, knowing his own limits. Even though he had evolved, he still couldn't take it head-on, but lucky him, he could test his new skill. Jiang Chen raised his hand, his 5 fingers instantly transforming, elongating into razor-sharp bone blades of the Assault Bone Armor. The sharp shards immediately fired out. He excitedly realized this new skill finally gave him ranged combat capabilities. The attack struck true, pinning the boss right in the eye. The hidden boss roared in furious desperation. As soon as he touched the ground, Jiang Chen was dragged toward the wide-open maw by an invisible gravitational spell. Being dragged along, he frantically jammed his sword into the ground, gouging a trench to slow his momentum. The system alerted him. Boss has activated storm gravity. Jiang Chen clicked his tongue in annoyance. This move again? While bracing against the suction, the summon's brain was racing to calculate, through the gravity field's interference. Once I get dragged in, my movement will be severely restricted. If my control gets sloppy, I'll definitely get hit during close combat. Instead of struggling in vain, his fiery eyes glinted with cunning. Fine, I'll just go with the flow. Jiang Chen swung his arm, launching a barrage of bone arrows forward with a smile. Might as well spray and pray. Just as he brilliantly anticipated, because this was a large area gravity spell, the bone arrows he fired were instantly warped and dragged away by the pull. Thanks to the dedicated service of the suction force, the volley of bone arrows flew with perfect accuracy, slamming straight into the boss's arrogant face. Under the influence of gravity, how could my arrows possibly miss? After successfully blinding the beast, Jiang Chen leaped into the air, riding the wind to prepare his counterattack. Raising his sword, which glimmered with blue light, he calculated meticulously, then channeled the gravity pull, combining the free-fall momentum with the magical suction for a massive strike. Jiang Chen turned into a bolt of lightning, pushing his damage to the limit, and coldly locked onto his target. Boost my attack. Let's gut this bear. With his blade crackling in blue energy, Jiang Chen tore through the air, delivering a powerful upward arc. Suddenly, the system flashed a bright red warning. It was the mountain bear boss triggering an ability. At the same time, the beast went berserk, unleashing its crushing stormclaw attack. A violent gale roared to life, uprooting ancient trees and tearing up the earth as it sucked everything into its brutal vortex. Jiang Chen braced himself against the wind, silently gauging the increased gravity. Looks like it was going all out. He clicked his tongue in annoyance, lamenting that he was low on bone shards. Just then, he leaped high into the air, barely dodging a lethal snap from the beast's jagged, oncoming jaws. Using the momentum of the magical vortex, Jiang Chen gracefully spun and glided through the air, channeling all his power into his sword, which began to emit a blinding light. He braced himself to deliver a decisive blow, like a comet descending from the ninth heaven. Jiang Chen tore through the wind, plunging straight toward the giant monster's head. Swift as lightning, his lean frame blurred past, expertly and fluidly launching razor-sharp spikes directly at the bear's face. The hidden boss rolled its blood-red eyes and roared in fury, its cavernous maw agape. Jiang Chen performed a fluid somersault, driving his sword into the boss's milky white eye. Immediately, the boss thrashed in pain, slamming him into the ground and creating a fiery impact that sent rubble flying everywhere. Landing safely, Jiang Chen stretched, realizing the gravitational pull had vanished. He smirked, analyzing. Looks like its skill duration has ended. Looking ahead, the giant boss was clutching its blinded face and wailing, which brought a smug smile to his face. However, in this state, the boss was basically a sitting duck. He raised his hand to inspect the bone fragments sprouting from it, only to receive a notification. Insufficient bone powder. Jiang Chen sighed. The new skill is easy enough to use, but it's a shame it consumes items. Suddenly, a deep, booming voice echoed through the silent space. Player, I have waited for you for a very, very long time. Jiang Chen jolted in surprise, blurting out, "What?" The giant beast's entire body suddenly erupted with fierce, crackling blue lightning, its words distorted and eerie. Facing this blinding aura of thunder and lightning, he broke into a cold sweat, utterly confused. That's not right. Game settings say early-stage bosses shouldn't interact with players. What is going on? A dazzling blue crystal slowly floated out from the beast's forehead, accompanied by final words reeking of cliché. I want to give you the mountain bear's final gift. Jiang Chen stared blankly. Yeah. But before he could even feel touched, the beast absorbed the crystal's energy and roared like a madman. The system immediately blared alarms. The mountain bear's master is about to unleash a skill. Heavenly thunder. Please exercise caution and evade. Jiang Chen's face hardened, speechless, cursing internally. Is this a beta version, with added skill introduction dialogue for bosses? Watching the massive pillar of lightning descend straight onto the bear, he curled his lip in disdain. Tch, these boring game devs only know how to do these useless things. But since it was this skill, Jiang Chen casually hoisted his sword onto his shoulder, standing tall amidst the lightning storm, and shouted, Fine, I won't be polite then. At the same time, a flashy gold system window popped up. Player is immune to lightning-type skills. The storm of lightning descended as if to tear the entire mountain in two, illuminating the night sky. After the storm passed, hurried footsteps trampled over withered leaves, accompanied by a clear, mournful cry. Jiang Chen dragged his battered body, clutching a backpack filled with glowing purple junk, triggering a red alert. Your backpack has exceeded its weight limit. Movement speed reduced by 40%. The young mistress panted, eyes tearing up as she dramatized the situation to herself. Something must have happened. No wonder he hasn't returned after so long. It's too heavy. Jiang Chen must have helped me lure the players away to save me. She threw the loot to the ground decisively. Her sense of justice surged. She couldn't abandon him, and so the female mage drew her magic staff, filled with heroic determination, and sprinted away. I have to save him, even if I'm useless, maybe, just maybe. She was in the middle of her tragic performance when she froze, looking up at the tall trees. Huh! She spotted a strange pitch-black object free-falling directly toward her head. The giant bear head, with its blood-stained, jagged teeth, fell with a loud thud, instantly shattering her heroic courage. She squeezed her eyes shut, clutched her staff, and shrieked, what is this? In contrast to her panic, the system fired off fireworks congratulating her. Glory! Congratulations to player Jiang Manman for achieving the first kill of the hidden boss, the mountain bear. Notice, you have leveled up. Current level, level 10. Player, please proceed to the main city to change classes. The flashy status board for the summon appeared on the screen showing the name, Bone Guard Raider, level 10, race undead, tier 3, health 9423, skills, rapid swordplay level 2, bone shield, arrowhead form level 1, affiliated with player, Jiang Manman, a testament to the insane carry. Switching to the bustling real world, night fell, enveloping a skyscraper glowing with the sign, Tiger Beast Guild Headquarters. In a lavish, dimly lit room, a man trembled as he reported to the imposing figure of the boss. Boss Trin, please, let me explain. Boss Trin tapped his gold-ringed fingers against the tablet screen, which was playing the footage of his captain being defeated. He said in an icy voice, Explain? Explain my ass, you're all just a bunch of losers. Boss Trin stood up, exerting his authority over the subordinates lying on the carpet, clutching their stomachs. He scolded, Tham Tay, it's one thing to lose the bear hunting grounds, but you even let a newbie steal the first kill of a hidden boss. I had just left the bear area, and you people let this happen. Do you have any idea how much money I lost? The captain, who had been so arrogant in the game earlier, was now curled on the floor with a swollen, bloody nose, desperately begging. Boss Trin, please listen. We'll find that guy, we'll kill him until he doesn't dare leave the city. We can definitely take him out. It's just one person, we were just caught off guard. Boss Trin pulled a shiny golf club. from his bag, preparing to teach his subordinate a lesson. He raised an eyebrow at the plea. "Give me and the guys another chance, boss," and let out a mocking question. "Oh, one person?" Finally, Boss Trin's dark shadow loomed over the captain, trembling on the floor, his voice as sharp as a knife. "There were so many of you, and you couldn't beat a level 10 player. Is that what you're saying?" The man waved his hands frantically, defending himself. No, that's not it." "Then you tell me." Boss Trin's face was filled with murderous intent as he struck a ruthless blow, cutting off the captain's pleas. "What use do I have for you lot?" Ignoring the man's dying whimpers of "Boss, please, give us a chance." Before the words could finish, a splash of bright red blood splattered across the screen, ending the failur's life, accompanied by Boss Trin's cold, sarcastic remark. "Threes against one and they still all died. Pathetic." After settling the internal mess, he turned to gaze out the floor-to-ceiling windows of the skyscraper. While casually wiping the blood off his hands with a cloth, he cursed, and they actually let someone find the hidden boss of the Bear Zone. Damn it, what a bunch of losers. Quelling his rage, he lit a cigarette and fell into deep thought. Still, it's a good thing this didn't happen in the Valley Zone. The plan there is still proceeding smoothly, right? There won't be any mistakes, will they? Python, his subordinate, standing in the shadows behind him, bowed respectfully. "Rest assured, Guildmaster, the Valley Zone plan is absolutely foolproof." The boss's expression softened slightly. "Good. Get it done quickly." He gestured dismissively, his tone cold and cruel. "The Bear Zone isn't important anymore. Send some reliable people to hunt down that trash player and beat him to a pulp. As for the Valley Zone, keep sending reinforcements. And remember, don't mess up my plans." Python offered a sinister, confident smile. "Don't worry, boss, everything is in our hands." Leaving behind the schemes of the urban sprawl, the scene shifts to the peaceful Bear Mountain Peak, where flocks of birds are startled, taking flight and circling the sky. On the ground, a low-level Jiang Chen is frantically busy gathering a massive pile of loot. Meanwhile, his owner stands with her hands on her hips, nagging, "Don't be lazy. Everything here can be traded for money. Why is there such a huge difference between you and that other Jiang Chen?" She pointed toward the dark, imposing figure billowing with a cape. "Look at your predecessor, Jiang Chen." The incredibly cool-looking guardian was currently sitting majestically, arms crossed, atop the giant bear's head. The owner puffed out her chest, bragging, "He can kill a mountain bear boss all by himself. Talk about luck, you just can't keep up." A system panel popped up showing her brand new level 10 Bearkeeper gear, with health and magic resistance stats soaring. The note showed she was using the fashion mode to highlight her hot curves. Not only that, she had also equipped the level 10 Bearkeeper tail and level 10 Bearkeeper leather boots, which boosted movement speed and magical output. Dressed in an adorable bear pajama set, she spun around excitedly to show off. "Hey Jiang Chen, look at the new gear I just got. Isn't it beautiful?" Jiang Chen was very cooperative. He put on his invisible sunglasses and gave a thumbs up. "Acting stats are great too, huh?" A loot panel appeared, shining so brightly it was blinding. Her jaw dropped as she drooled over the riches. 479 Bear Keeper Essences, 252 Bear Pelts, 33 Bone Wolf Essences, 54 Wolf Teeth, and 17 gold coins, 9 silver, and 189 copper. Looking at the pile of gold and materials, she was beyond thrilled. She grabbed her skirt and skipped forward, shouting, "We can change classes now. Let's hurry back to the main city to promote, and we can sell the materials while we're at it. Then we'll be rich." A second later, she turned to scold the slow-moving skeleton minion. "Hey, are you being lazy again? You should be dismantling materials like this. You're ruining everything." Once everything was done, the Guardian sat down heavily on a rock, clutching his Hessian frustration. "Sigh, this Bearkeeper gear set is worth tens of thousands, and she's just using it as a fashion outfit? When will I ever be able to escape this woman?" However, when he checked his own long list of personal attribute stats, he nodded, feeling extremely satisfied. Still, this level up was a qualitative leap. These stats are far beyond a level 15 player. He examined the new skill he'd dropped and smacked his lips. And the new skill is super easy to use too. Assault Bone Armor, Arrow Form Level 1. Consume powder to fire bone arrows. The current energy charge was at 4,650 points. It was definitely a resource-heavy skill. This power level was worth the evolution points spent, but his smile faded when the god-level evolution system poured cold water on him, reporting that 20,000 points were needed for the next rank. He was shocked. Damn, the points needed for the next evolution are way too high. He glanced at his owner, who was leisurely carrying the loot in the distance, and felt dejected. I have to kill a monster of the same level just to get 1020 evolution points. At this rate, when will I ever finish? It looks like I have to hunt bosses to level up fast. After thinking it over, Jiang Chen rubbed his chin and started planning. There is one thing she's right about. It really is time to go change classes. The first skill after the Necromancer class change is Reinforced Skeleton Frame. It can boost all my attributes by 30%. The dark, menacing shadow of his summoned form stretched out, overshadowing the innocent owner, who was kneeling on the ground. He concluded, since I'm bound to her as a summoned creature, if she gets stronger, I get stronger. While he was deep in thought, she suddenly pointed at the bear's carcass and shouted, "Wow, Jiang Chen, come look, there's a treasure chest here." Her curiosity piqued, he stepped forward. A magical purple light blinded them as it radiated from the Bear Mountain treasure chest. She jumped up with excitement, hugging her cheeks. "Wow, this is purple." Hey, let me see what kind of treasure it is." He stood right behind her, watching her squint and chuckle. A treasure chest. A treasure chest. Jiang Chen stood with his hands behind his back, analyzing logically. Loot? I almost forgot. Loot from a hidden boss of this level has to be either reinforcement materials or a weapon. Suddenly, she gasped, eyes widening in shock. "Jiang Chen, look." The flames in Jiang Chen's eye sockets flared up in astonishment. Whoa, this exceeds all expectations. Hovering steadily in mid-air was a book glowing with brilliant purple light, with a description that would make anyone freeze in their tracks. Rare all-class skill book, Thunderous Army. She squatted in front of the chest, guessing in amazement. Is it because we got the first kill? How did a low-level boss ch something this good? Clutching the glowing purple skill book, she looked up at Jiang Chen with wide sparkling eyes and asked, "Jiang Chen, you really want this skill book, right?" Without hesitation, she handed the book to her summon with a bright smile. "I was able to get so much material and gold, all thanks to you, Jiang Chen. You can use this skill book too, right?" Accepting the book with joy, the skeleton guardian praised silently. "The child is teachable. Very teachable. Looks like she isn't as greedy as I thought." As she waved her hands excitedly, "I just checked. This is a skill that can attack many monsters at the same time." She threw her head back and laughed with grand ambitions of wealth and glory. "Once you learn it, our monster grinding speed will be much faster. I'll get rich even faster. Ha 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 ha." Hearing this, Jiang Chen's face immediately went blank, and he silently retracted his praise. "I take back what I just said." He decisively chose yes when the system asked if he wanted to learn the Thunderous Army skill. A blinding light enveloped the book as the system's countdown timer began to tick. 3, 2, 1. Ding. Congratulations, you have learned the skill, Thousandfold Thunderstrike, current level 1. Skill, Thousandfold Thunderstrike, level 1 Lightning. Element, mana cost 150 units. Cooldown, 1.5 seconds. Effect, fires multiple consecutive lightning bolts forward, dealing 200 magic damage to objects within range. Current level 1 description. O Master of Hung Sun, may the power of Hung Sun always be with you. Whoa, so this actually worked. The sword in his hand began to crackle with blue lightning. The girl behind him urged him on excitedly. Try it out, Jiang Chen smirked, feeling a wave of nostalgia. This rush of excitement from a new skill. How long has it been since I felt this? Gathering lightning energy that illuminated a corner of the forest, he raised his sword high. Alright, let's test the power of this move. With that, Jiang Chen swung his sword hard through the air, shouting, "Thousandfold Thunderstrike." Thunder crashed down, shattering ancient trees. The young mistress widened her eyes in shock. This skill is. But despite the grand visual effects, Jiang Chen stood there staring at the battlefield with disappointment. Meanwhile, the girl behind him clapped excitedly. So amazing. Now the speed at which I harvest materials will be even faster. But he just held his head in frustration. The damage is too low. Even though it's an area of effect skill, the attack power is just too weak. Suddenly, an idea struck him. The flames in his eye sockets flared as he remembered his special ability. That's right, I can use evolution points to upgrade this skill. Although evolving himself was important, he tapped the system menu decisively. He analyzed that increasing monster-killing efficiency was the key. Without hesitation, he poured all his evolution points into upgrading Thousandfold Thunderstrike. Instantly, the system announced, "Enhancement initiated." A massive pillar of dark energy descended from the sky onto the summoned creature. The shockwave sent the girl flying backward, leaving her panicked. Whoa, what's happening now? Immersed in the surging power of evolution, Jiang Chen's back radiated such an oppressive aura that the girl couldn't help but sigh. Jiang Chen's presence, It feels like it's changed. The evolution was complete. He swung his sword, now wrapped in pitch-black lightning and radiating pure killing intent, and confidently looked at the skill panel showing Thousandfold Thunderstrike level 5. Red flames flared wildly as he reached out to test the move once more, activating Thousandfold Thunderstrike. In the blink of an eye, a massive pillar of dark lightning crashed down, its destructive power screaming as it tore through the night. Seeing the ground before him scorched with deep, jagged ruts, the young mistress's jaw dropped. "Oh my god, Jiang Chen, you're way too overpowered," and he for his part was extremely satisfied. Excellent, it really was the right choice. Now, my efficiency in grinding evolution points will be much higher. After testing the move, Jiang Chen reached out, grabbed the young mistress by the shoulder, and hoisted her up. Then, ignoring her confused shouting, "Hey, what are you doing?" he slung her over his shoulder and ran. The girl grumbled indignantly, "Why am I being carried again? Can't you just carry me princess style for once?" While Jiang Chen was calculating the route in his head, grind evolution points first, then go get this girl her class promotion, then cross the valley area straight to the main city. Her player profile popped up. The simpleton Zhang Manman, level 10, necromancer, along with a host of pathetic stats that hinted at a long, sweat and tear-filled road of carrying this dead weight ahead. Let me introduce the game, Great Wilderness. From the moment the game went live, the artificial intelligence controlling it began to evolve, creating countless intertwined storylines. The end goals were hidden dungeons filled with gold and rare items. Not only that, dungeons in various areas could trigger hidden plots if certain conditions were met, upgrading into hidden dungeons where wealth and opportunities multiplied exponentially. Because of this lucrative bait, from the moment the server opened, major guilds fought to claim the best farming spots, among which the Bear Mountain and the Valley were the exclusive territory of the Tiger Beast Guild. Under a gloomy sky shadowed by trees, a group of people in cloaks stood tall on a cliff, looking down and sternly declaring their territory. Looking down, a deep canyon shrouded in thick mist appeared, the entrance to the valley, where a storm was waiting for the pair to stumble into their trap. An armored hand shoved aside a shimmering blue rock lizard that was blocking the way, shouting irritably, "Get lost, don't get in our way." Tossed into the bushes, the lizard had no choice but to yield to the two armored soldiers. The one behind nodded as if enlightened. "Oh, so that's it. No wonder the boss is so angry." The soldier holding the shield asked while walking. Before, the boss and the vice guild leader occupied Bear Mountain for so long, without finding the conditions to trigger the hidden boss. Now they just left, and someone else snatched it right from under their noses. It'd be weird if he weren't angry. But why did the guild leader not order us back to Bear Mountain, but instead sent reinforcements to the valley? Another soldier scratched his head, chiming in. "Yeah, and why are we squatting here? I don't get it either." The captain in red armor put his hands on his hips, acting smug. "That's because you guys don't understand." Opening the map to analyze, the red-armored man gestured and explained, "A hidden boss won't respawn. So, Bear Mountain is now worthless except for leveling up. The valley is different. The hidden dungeon there hasn't been conquered yet, so our orders are to continue to the valley as reinforcements." Dreaming of counting money until his hands grew tired, the red-armored man imagined hanging Zhang Manman upside down to shake all her gold out, cackling deviously. "But if we can ambush that player on the way, catch him to fulfill our mission, and get our hands on her materials and equipment, wouldn't we be rich?" A subordinate asked blankly. "But boss, how do you know she'll go this way?" The red-armored man crossed his arms, looking as confident as a genius. "Guild intelligence says she should just have hit level 10. At level 10, players naturally want to go to the main city for their class promotion. Plus, since she's done something shady, she definitely won't dare to walk in openly. She has to sneak through one of the two sides, and one of those is the path we're currently on. It's a 50-50 chance." The subordinate's eyes lit up, and they fawned over him. "So that's it. Boss is truly brilliant. No wonder you're a top student from a double first-class university." This made the captain stroke his chin and lift his head in arrogance. Small matter. While they were busy flattering him, one of them suddenly shuddered and asked anxiously, "Wait a sec, boss. That person wouldn't happen to be a creep, would they?" "Yeah, I heard that too. Rumor has it. The target is a 200-pound female necromancer with some really twisted psychological issues." The shield soldier added, looking visibly panicked, "Don't you hate creeps more than anything? Even if her level isn't high, they say she loves using players for all sorts of weird, sick games. It sounds terrifying." The guy in the red armor immediately puffed out his chest, brandishing a shimmering, dull-edged weapon with a 20% armor-piercing stat, and boldly declared, I hate creeps more than anything in this life, but don't worry, we came prepared. He confidently tapped his thick armor, showing off its physical damage reduction stats. People call her a necromancer, but her skeletons only deal physical damage. That's why we specifically swapped into heavy armor with maxed out physical resistance today. Plus, we've got the paladin class transfer. As he spoke, he imagined the glory of his power, glowing with a blinding light as he crushed those skeletons. Holy attributes are a hard counter to a necromancer's physical summons. Catching her will be as easy as pie. His lackeys cheered, feeling pumped up. Got it, my blood is boiling already. You're brilliant, boss. You've really got this necromancer all figured out. But before the words even left his mouth, a bolt of pitch-black lightning crashed down from the sky, leaving him stunned. Wait, what was that? Before he could process it, a massive area of effect dark lightning storm slammed down on the group, leaving them screaming in agony. Ah! Caught in the electrified chaos, the lackeys shrieked in panic. Boss, something's wrong. Where did this AoE come from? Lightning is striking from every direction, the shield soldier yelled, clutching his head. I get it. We must have triggered a hidden boss. The red-armored captain shouted back, cursing, while taking hits. Boss, my foot. This is a player attack. Where's the healer? Start defensive buffs now. Watching their HP bars plummet, the shield soldiers cried out. Damn, that magic damage is insane. Why are they all critical hits? Boss, we're wearing heavy armor. It's all physical defense. We have zero magic resistance. Realizing they'd been had, the red-armored captain gritted his teeth and ordered a retreat. Damn it, fall back. If not, we'll. Before he could finish, more dark lightning columns rained down, shredding the group of soldiers. The system coldly announced, Player Lengu has died. Player Note Tung has died. It turned out the culprit behind the lightning was the skeleton guy standing with his arms crossed on a cliff in the distance. As for his mistress, she was happily directing her bony minions to loot the battlefield. Hey, Skeleton 3, make sure you pick up all the gold. Skeleton 2, check thoroughly for any dropped gear or materials. Don't you dare miss a thing. Chugging a bottle of blue mana potion, she smacked her lips and happily counted the loot. Oh wow, who knew the raw crystals dropped by those jade beetles were worth 5 credits each? Jiang Chen stood there with his arms crossed, helplessly thinking to himself. Even slave owners wouldn't exploit people this much. Suddenly, she widened her eyes and pointed at the pile of charred corpses, naively calling out, Hey Jiang Chen, look at that! That looks like the body of a player. You were right, we really did run into players. Contrastingly, she was full of excitement. Jiang Chen broke out in a cold sweat, analyzing the situation. Could these guys have been wiped out by the AoE from the 10,000 Thunderbolts' skill? His mistress made a face, complaining, These guys have less money on them than the stone beetles. But what were they doing hiding in the bushes anyway? The fire in his eye sockets flared as he spotted a metal badge dropped on the cracked earth. The Tiger Beast Guild. Plus, these guys seemed to be paladins wearing heavy armor with zero magic resistance. Connecting the dots, he turned to look at the corpses with a smirk. Looks like they were targeting me. He'd heard the Tiger Beast Guild's territory wasn't small, but he hadn't expected them to own the valley too. Assessing the risks for the road ahead, Jiang Chen muttered, Looks like I need to gather some intel to get through this valley safely. As he pondered, his mistress's clear voice rang out from the cliff's edge. Whoa, Jiang Chen, there's one still alive down here. Below the cliff, the red-armored captain was paralyzed, sweating buckets. Frustrated, he thought, I miscalculated. This woman is definitely suspicious. With AoE magic damage that strong, who even is she? Facing death, he tried to open his system interface, muttering, Can't make money anymore, need to call for backup first. But just as the thought crossed his mind, a lightning-enchanted bone sword shot down, smashing his system screen to pieces and scaring the life out of him. What the? The blade didn't miss, pinning his red-armored hand firmly to the ground. Looking up, he saw Jiang Chen looming over him, and the red-armored captain broke into a cold sweat. That skeleton is her summon. The skeleton moved efficiently, deciding the safest bet was to strip the guy of his gear before tying him up. His mistress stared down at the cliff, confused. Jiang Chen, what are you doing? With her eyes wide and mouth agape, she pointed trembling. What is this? It turned out that under the bulky red armor was a hot red-haired woman now tied up. Hua Ran glared furiously, cursing, Why is this guy a girl? You jerk, the guild intel was right. Damn it, you really are a creep. The mage mistress waved her hands, sweating nervously as she tried to explain to Jiang Chen. But was it really necessary to go this far? It looked so weird. Ignoring her protests, Jiang Chen crossed his arms, thinking, this is just how it is. Are they with the same group from before? I see. This way she can't kill herself or log out. Huaran watched the mistress interacting with Jiang Chen, utterly bewildered. What is going on? Is she schizophrenic, talking to her own summon? Terrified by the rumors of the creepy things this pair might do, Huaran squeezed her eyes shut and screamed, damn it, I'd rather die than be tortured by a freak like you. Too lazy to explain, Jiang Chen stepped in front of his mistress, acting cool and coldly concluded, all right, let me interrogate her. Jiang Mainman, wearing a bear suit, approached, looking flustered as she looked down at the red-haired Huaran sitting on the ground. Sorry about that, we accidentally hurt you. We just wanted to ask you a few questions. But she was met only with a sharp retort. Just kill me. I won't say a word. Huaran screamed with hatred. I hate creeps more than anything in this life, and that includes women. Give me a quick death. Don't even think about humiliating me. This made Jiang Manman panic and wave her hands frantically. Wait, who's a creep? We only did this because we were afraid you'd run. I just wanted to ask a few things. But Huaran remained stubborn. Today I'd rather starve to death or jump off this cliff than say another word. Unexpectedly, a cold bony hand reached out from behind and grabbed Jiang Manman's sleeve to hold her back, causing her to turn around in surprise. Jiang Chen. Jiang Chen stepped forward, radiating such a chilling aura that the lady boss scrambled back in a panic. Jiang Chen, do we really have to resort to Plan B? Think carefully. Are you sure you want to go through with this? Even as Huaran clenched her teeth and shut her eyes tightly in defiance. Just give this lady a quick death. I'm not about to. Before she could finish, her tough expression suddenly vanished, replaced by wide, stunned eyes and flushed cheeks as she saw what was being pulled out right in front of her. It was right under her nose. Jiang Chen, his eyes glowing with a soulless, fiery red glare, calmly held up a heavy coin pouch. The system interface clearly displayed the amount, 50 silver. The air fell into an instant, heavy silence. Red-haired Huaran lowered her head, covering her face in pure, bashful embarrassment, unable to find the words, leaving the lady boss on the sidelines sweating bullets and shouting in confusion. Hey, is she so frustrated that she's lost her mind? Jiang Manman pointed a shaking finger at Jiang Chen and yelled in panic. Look at her. She's biting her tongue to end it all. I told you she had no interest in money. Stop wasting your cash, we need to be careful with our spending to survive. But just as a dejected Jiang Chen started to put the pouch away, a desperate cry echoed from behind, making the skeleton man turn his head. Wait a second. Gone was her previous look of unyielding bravery. The red-haired Huaran was now sprawled on the ground in a sultry, suggestive pose, batting her eyes and giving a playful wink. Little lady, you've got such a sharp eye. Isn't there just a thing or two you wanted to ask your big sister? Whatever you want to know, I'll tell you everything today. Because the system announcement clearly stated today's in-game exchange rate. 1 silver coin was worth 2,000 Huaxia credits. She was spinning like a top, completely blindsided by how quickly she flipped her attitude. Jiang Manman stumbled back. This. About that. Meanwhile, Jiang Chen triumphantly raised his fist at the lady boss. Let's see you spill every secret the Tiger Beast Guild has. Realizing her important mission, blonde Jiangman blinked dizzily, sweat trickling down her face, declaring herself the top-tier translator of the day. After dragging each other off to a secluded corner to talk and untie the knots, a sharp, piercing scream echoed across the distant cliffs. No way, who's the real freak here? Amidst the towering mountains, a flock of birds startled and flew off in chaos, while steady, exhausted gasps for breath filled the air. Whew! That wiped me out! Once everything was settled, Jiang Manman cleared her throat and got straight to the point. That's all we wanted to ask. I've already paid you, so don't even think about trying to scam me. Huaran shrugged, answering with supreme confidence. No problem at all, little lady. I can answer every single one of those questions. Tossing her voluminous red hair, Huaran offered a sly, amused smile. Heh, never thought I'd run into such a generous, little rich girl. Seeing that wicked smirk, Jiang Manman stepped forward, causing Huaran to flinch back in sudden nervousness. You don't seem like the person I imagined at all. What are you doing? Don't come any closer. Seizing the opportunity, the night girl lunged forward, groping the armor on the other's chest and declaring loudly, Relax, little lady, I'm a respectable person, she said, making Jiang Manman close her eyes and blush while resisting weakly. Though, looking at you, you don't seem all that respectable yourself. Suddenly, Huaran's eyes widened in surprise when she realized something was missing from her body. Huh? Glancing behind her, Jiang Chen was still standing there coldly, firmly holding her hand. The red-haired knight laughed it off. What's with the defense? Even my weapons are currently in your hands. Caught in the act, Jiang Manman stepped back, hands on her hips, pouting as she scolded. Of course I have to be careful with you. You were planning to ambush us, and now you're suddenly acting all cooperative. It's way too suspicious. The red-haired knight tilted her head and replied with an innocent shrug, ignoring the terrifying Jiang Chen looming behind her. Suspicious? How so? The guild has a grudge against you, not me. My brothers and I are just hired laborers. We're just here for the money. Recalling the image of her brother face down on the cracked earth, charred black, she clicked her tongue and sighed. Even though there were some losses, the money you gave is honestly just too much. It's a price I can accept. To prove her sincerity, Huaran opened the system chat box to show the message she'd just sent to her boss, smiling confidently. Plus, don't worry. I already covered for you regarding that skirmish just now. The boss asked about the situation, and I told him, everything is fine here. It was just an elite monster attack. Don't panic. I'm bringing back everyone's gear, and your tracks won't be leaked from our side. Finding the reasoning all too convincing along with the knight's giggling, she thought, I don't want to miss a chance to cling to a rich girl's coattails anyway. Jiang Manman wiped her sweat and nodded awkwardly. Fine, I'll trust you this once. But a second later, Jiang Manman was swept up and carried away, letting out a startled yelp. All right, I'm starting, let's go. What are you doing? Hugging the rich girl's leg, huh? Leaving Jiang Chen standing dejectedly in the back, letting out a helpless sigh. First, about the pursuit. You don't need to worry anymore. Our ambush was spontaneous. It wasn't an order from the guild. The people who actually received orders to track you are likely still at Bear Mountain. At your current pace, they have no way of catching up to you. Besides, a little rich girl like you is so formidable, even if they did catch up, they'd just be throwing their lives away. Jiang Manman smiled triumphantly, eyes squinting as she waved her hand. Heh, not really, I was just lucky. But don't get happy too soon, the valley area isn't as simple as you think. As she led the way, red-haired Huaran turned back, furrowing her delicate brows to explain with a serious look on her face. Because the valley has always been a key defensive point for the guild, and recently, they've even reinforced it with a lot more personnel. As she stepped down the hillside, she turned to look at the duo behind her, with a grim warning. I heard that the dungeon in the core area of the valley has run into some trouble. Right now, even small fry like us who handle the outer perimeter have been completely reassigned here. Her face darkened as she recalled the strength of her own faction. The knight continued to pour salt into the lady boss's wound. They say the guild has mobilized almost every squad from level 15 and up to assist in the valley. Right now, this place is locked down tighter than an iron barrel. No one can possibly slip through without making a sound. Recalling the terrifying dark aura radiating silhouette of the leader, Huaran warned in a low voice. Plus, the guild's strongest combat force, the Vice Guild leader Python, is definitely in the core area. The Python Vice Guild Master is a high-level assassin class, level 30 or above. No matter how strong you think you are, you don't stand a chance against him. Besides, you're a high-profile target. A lone female necromancer wandering around is just too easy to spot. Someone like you, just hitting level 10, is nothing more than a walking, talking bag of loot to them. Sweating bullets, the young mage clutched her head and groaned in distress, while Huaran got straight to the point. So, how we can safely cross the valley to get to the main city for your class advancement, that's the real problem you need to consider right now. Jiang Manman, terrified, whipped her head around to look at her summon for help. Little Jiang Chen, what should we do? Correction for continuity based on text flow. Jiang Manman looked at her summon. The skeleton, however, lowered his head slightly. The glowing red light in his eye sockets betrayed a deep, calculating thought. So that's how it is. It seems the situation is getting complicated. With his sharp intuition, Jiang Chen silently pieced the events together, recalling the image of the old NPC village chief with the exclamation mark over his head. If it's the valley, the strange dungeon situation she mentioned must have been triggered by an NPC in the area giving out quests. Drawing on his knowledge of game mechanics, he continued to deduce. Unlike Bear Mountain, the valley is a fully integrated part of the game system and already contains standard dungeons. Because of that, the only way to trigger hidden gameplay is to wait for the local NPCs to issue quests related to the dungeon. The image of freakish red spiders swarming out, and the quest to kill the corrupted village chief flashed through his mind. Jiang Chen analyzed the danger. The Great Wilderness's algorithmic mechanics evolve over time. NPCs can trigger resurrection events in all sorts of ways, making it highly unpredictable. If you rush in to fight for a quest without knowing what it is, the losses will far outweigh the gains. The risk was too high. He paused, looking up at the steep cliffs with the wind howling, but Jiang Chen wasn't willing to pass up the opportunity. Besides, he couldn't just leave such a golden opportunity to the guild. If the Foxbeast tribe went through the trouble of mobilizing so many players to reinforce the area, this quest definitely wasn't simple. A flash of firm resolve flickered in his glowing red eye sockets. He made up his mind. Figure out the quest first, then decide on the next move. The moment he glanced at the swamp-themed helmets and armor dropped by the soldiers on the ground, which were sparkling with stats, a brilliant idea struck his skeletal skull. He had a way. After eavesdropping on the skeleton's clever plan, Zhang Manman was so shocked, she threw her head back and shrieked, shaking the whole cliffside. "What did you say?" She pulled Jiang Chen, who was now clad in bulky armor that made him look like any other player, to the front. Zhang Manman wiped the sweat from her forehead and asked Hua Ran, "You want her to lead you to the core of the valley?" Yeah, exactly. As long as Jiang Chen wears your teammate's gear, nobody will be able to tell the difference." As soon as she heard that crazy plan, Hua Ran immediately turned around and started walking away, waving off Wu Pang. "I just want to earn some money. I don't want to get kicked out of the guild. I'm not taking this job. For lone players like us, if we don't rely on the guild, our prospects in the game are finished." Seeing their guide about to bail, Zhang Manman frantically reached out to stop her, gritting her teeth as she offered a measly price. "Okay, fine. I'll pay one more silver coin." That made Hua Ran whirl back around, hands on her hips, fuming. "Are you kidding me, little sister? A moment ago you were throwing 50 silver coins around like it was nothing, and now you want me to act as your tour guide for just one." Zhang Manman stubbornly wiped her sweat and tried to bargain. "Well, how much do you want then? It's not like I'm short on cash. You were tossing out 50 silver coins so casually just now. You don't look like someone short on cash at all." Jiang Chen, behind them, looked up at the sky, exhausted. Hua Ran secretly scoffed. This little girl is a total cheapskate. She'll die for money sooner or later. Just as they were haggling back and forth, Jiang Chen calmly pulled out a brilliant gold coin, making his mistress cry out in heartache as she tried to stop him. "No, don't, Jiang Chen." Meanwhile, Huaran's eyes lit up like Mars, and she cheered with extreme joy. "Oh my god, a gold coin!" The deal was struck in a flash. The red-haired knight pocketed the money, turned around happily to lead the way, not forgetting to wink back to confirm the deal. "But first, let's be clear. I'm only taking you to the location the guild sent me to. The rest is up to you, okay?" Ignoring the Meiji's grumpy mumbling behind her, the greedy guide started into the towering canyon. Hua Ran walked in front, warning them seriously. "Passing through the valley is very dangerous. You have to follow my lead. Absolutely no reckless moves." Zhang Manman pouted and replied, Got it. You've already taken the money, why are you still blathering on?" She was immediately cut off. "There are elite monsters ahead, plus a lot of other players. Be careful, and whatever you do, don't show your head." Pointing at the jagged rock peak that pierced the gray sky, Hua Ran gave detailed instructions. "Have your summon pose as my teammate. Don't let any slip-ups happen. On the way, absolutely do not summon any other skeleton soldiers, or you'll get caught. Also, remember to turn on your player info hide mode." The young mistress, sweating, nodded obediently. "Okay, I got it." The system interface popped up with a notification. "Party successfully created. You have successfully formed a party. Hua Ran, level 17 Light Knight, and Zhang Manman, level 10 Necromancer." Hua Ran declared loudly, "All right. Everything is ready. Let's move out." Party XP will be split equally. The bear hood-wearing mage happily did the math. And as for materials and silver coins, we'll split them 370. That made Hua Ran laugh helplessly and wave her hand. "You really are a money grubber. Got it. Just hurry up and follow me." After walking a short distance into a narrow rocky crevice, Hua Ran raised her shield to cover them, warning them carefully. "There are a lot of small mobs ahead. Be careful not to get swarmed. I'll take the front and open a path with my shield, and then you." She suddenly stopped, noticing her companion's strange expression. "Huh?" She saw Zhang Manman's smug, hands on hips grin, and glanced at Jiang Chen next to her, who had already gathered brilliant dark lightning on his sword. Hua Ran broke into a cold sweat, confused. What is that expression for? The monsters on the outskirts of the valley aren't high level. But there are so many of them, they aren't easy to handle. The little mistress turned her nose up proudly. That's just because you haven't seen our Jiang Chen's true strength yet. Before Huaran could worry any further, a massive, wide-area dark lightning storm with terrifying destructive power rained down directly from the sky, engulfing the entire area in front of them. The ground collapsed and smoked as waves of earth shark monsters were blasted to bits by the lightning, lying scattered all over the place. The system instantly notified that Jiang Chen's evolution points had skyrocketed by 220. She gasped in shock at that sheer destructive power. Huaran, with her red hair, turned around, stuttering while breaking into a sweat. Wait, your skills can actually counter the monsters here. Zhang Manman, hiding behind Jiang Chen, nodded with a wide, smug grin. My Jiang Chen is amazing, right? Without missing a beat, the money-hungry mistress pointed directly at her newly recruited errand boy, Huaran. Didn't you say I couldn't summon any other skeletons earlier? Well, the task of looting is yours now. Let's go. Skeleton number 4, go gather the materials. That made Huaran absolutely furious, and she shrieked, Ha! Am I just your portable storage now? Despite grinding her teeth and clawing at her messy red hair in frustration, thinking about the massive haul, Huaran had to resign herself to playing scavenger. Fine, whatever. Since I get a share of the money and experience, just don't get too carried away. This valley still has plenty of elite monsters. The moment she finished her lecture, a system notification flashed a warning. An elite level 15 stone statue monster was nearby, causing Huaran to look back anxiously. We have to rely on coordination if we want to take that down. While Jiang Chen nonchalantly pocketed another 400 evolution points. Before the knight could even finish her battle plan, a bolt of dark lightning crashed down from the heavens, tearing through space with devastating force. Jiang Manman put her hands on her hips, looked at the fallen monster, and gave a cold command. Not that tough, is it? Let's move. Number 4. This made Huaran grind her teeth in annoyance, thinking to herself, damn it, don't get cocky yet, there's still the electric python ahead. But as the words were about to leave her lips, another bolt of black lightning struck down mercilessly, accompanied by a blinding notification of another 400 evolution points. Ignoring the charred remains of the giant snake, the little mistress waved her hand casually. This one wasn't very tough either, let's go. Number 4. She forced Huaran to scream a warning in vain. Don't get cocky, there's still the six-eyed magic spider up ahead. As if on cue, a surge of dark energy ruthlessly engulfed the giant spider, frying it to a crisp right in the middle of the clearing. Zhang Manman grinned ear to ear, nudging the red-headed knight who was standing there in stunned silence. It's about to be your turn to shine again. Skeleton number 4 just stood there, leaving Huaran speechless with a trail of ellipses. Completely helpless, Huaran regained her composure, trembling as she clutched her head, sweat soaking her forehead. She shouted in her mind, how is this even possible? This is absurd. Is this really the combat power a level 10 player should have? Her eyes were locked onto the sturdy back of the armored skeleton, her brain racing. How does his summon even have skills? Did he get them from Jiang Chen? Besides, even ignoring the skills, look at how those dark lightning bolts finished off the monsters so perfectly. Huaran became even more terrified. Such precise maneuvers, it's as if this summon has a mind of its own. Instinctively, she looked over at Jiang Manman, who was clutching her face in pure bliss, muttering, Hey, Jiang Chen, hey. Huaran swallowed hard and made a bold decision. I'm sticking to this powerhouse no matter what. Even if she's a total lunatic, it doesn't matter. However, the comedic atmosphere didn't last long. From the dark, dense forest above the cliff, abnormal wind currents suddenly stirred, accompanied by a desperate wailing scream. Help! Help me! Jiang Manman blinked, stunned. Huh? Huaran immediately turned and drew her sword, shouting a warning. Careful, it's another player. From the leaf-covered slope, a muscular man charged down aggressively, waving his arms and chasing a young boy, growling with murderous intent. You little brat, I'm going to kill you, the boy sobbed, crying out for help. Man pointed in shock. Hey, it's a kid, and that guy over there. The mage's eyes accidentally swept over the sparkling badge pinned to the chest of the one being chased. She whispered. It looks like he's also a player from the Tiger Beast Guild. While falling through the air, the child desperately screamed, confirming their suspicions. No, it's not just that. He's a player from the Tiger Beast Guild. Standing below, Zhang Manman stared in confusion and turned to ask, why would the Tiger Beast Guild have such young staff? What on earth is going on? Huaran frowned, speculating, could it be someone logging in with another person's account? Immediately, The red-headed knight dismissed her own theory, explaining with a serious expression, "No, that's impossible. Didn't the guidebook say so when we created our accounts? The Great Wilderness creates characters based on the player's physical reality." Just then, the kid landed and sprinted toward the trio, cheering, "Fellow guild members, thank goodness, please save me. That guy is insane, he captured my friends." Just then his pursuer slammed his feet into the ground, sending tremors through the rocks. From the dust the man looked up, his face twisted in pure murderous rage, roaring as a show of force. "I didn't expect you tiger beast runts to have backup, even if I have to sacrifice this gear." The man's armored fist clenched tight, and the air around it twisted, gathering into a terrifying, glowing surge of power. He launched himself forward like a cannonball at incredible speed, screaming with vindictive fury, "I'll slaughter the lot of you." Overwhelmed by the intense killing intent, the boy gasped in terror, turned and scrambled away, screaming, in despair. In a flash, the skeleton flew over, grabbed both of them, and bolted for their lives. She gritted her teeth, clutching her chest, and cursed, "My ears are ringing." The red-headed knight panicked, calling out, "Hey!" When she turned and saw Jiang Manman's soul practically flying out of her mouth, mumbling incoherent nonsense, Huaran's sweat dropped and scolded, "Are you stunned out of your mind?" Realizing the imminent danger of losing her support, Huaran hurriedly glanced at the silent armored figure behind them, anxiously wondering, what about this summon? Standing guard in front, Jiang Chen calmly glanced through the slits of his helmet, revealing cold, blood-red eyes. This made Huaran break out in a cold sweat, analyzing, if she didn't order the summon to carry us to safety, but she's unconscious, can a summon act on its own? However, Jiang Chen wasn't flustered. He stepped forward to block the enemy, making Huaran heave a sigh of relief as she sized up the opponent. This guy is a first transition storm brawler. His baity indestructible body and physical damage are a hard counter to me. But looking closer, the brawler was kneeling on one leg, swaying, gasping for air. Huff! Huff! With a series of bleeding and poison status effects popping up over him, she smiled in relief. At least his HP is already critically low. Seeing that, the brat hiding behind hurriedly shouted at the skeleton guy, "You're a swordsman, right? He's crippled now. Kill him quick." If a brawler activates their skill state, they're a real pain to deal with. But Jiang Chen just stood there, observing. His sharp intuition was whispering, something's not right. Jiang Chen's gaze swept over the system info panel displaying the words, "Hunter level 11. Level 11, unpromoted." He mused to himself, this kid only looks like an unpromoted level 11 hunter. Yet he managed to push a level 18 first-class storm brawler to this state. Plus, the gear on that brawler doesn't look cheap at all. Across from them the brawler coughed up blood in agony, sweating profusely, eyes glaring as he gritted out a question, filled with hidden meaning. Why not run when you're this badly hurt? Why risk your life instead? You low-life scum. The others looked on, not quite understanding what was going on. Huaran, the red-haired knight, turned red with rage, pointing a finger directly at him. "Who are you calling scum? You started this the moment you showed up. Can't you even talk like a normal person?" Ignoring her defense, the muscular man kicked up rocks and dirt, screaming in hatred. "I have nothing to say to low-life scum like you. Doing whatever you want is one thing, but using such dirty tricks today." His whole body erupted in a deep crimson aura as the system announced the activation of the Dance of Blood War skill. He roared and unleashed a kick that tore through the air. "I'll take you all down with me." He's activated his skill. The flaming fist, carrying terrifying force, descended, threatening to crush the very space around them. Seeing the skeleton still just standing there, Huaran rushed forward in a panic, shoving him aside and screaming, "Look out!" In that split second, a hair's breadth from disaster, the red-haired knight swung her shield, manifesting a dazzling holy light, taking the crushing blow head-on. A deafening light explosion shook the area. Hidden behind his teammate, the skeleton in the cloak still had his hands clasped, watching casually like he was at a show. Nodding as he muttered a dull comment, not bad." The impact was so great it sent the brawler reeling backward. He spat blood, eyes wide with shock, staring at the blinding defensive energy before him, croaking out, A holy knight?" Pushed to the limit, Huaran exploded in fury, unleashing her full power as holy light bathed the entire frame, knocking her opponent far away. Her eyes blazed with wrath as she spoke, each word heavy with authority. "Do you really think I'm easy to bully? If you can't speak like a person, then just die." Huaran swung her weapon, unleashing Spear of the Sanctuary, a brilliant strike that sent the muscular man flying backward. The brawler slammed into the cliffside, A glowing mark seared onto his chest, forcing a painful grunt from his lips. Before he could even steady himself, his face was illuminated by a purple, abyssal light tearing through the space, making him widen his eyes in panic. Huh? Instantly, a bolt of black lightning descended, finishing off the enemy. The system coldly announced, "Player Xiaofeng has died." At the same time, 150 evolution points were added to Jiang Chen's stash. Seeing the enemy downed, the hunter brat happily ran over, laughing. "Haha, ran into one of our own. This is great." The big idiot then looked at Jiang Chen, who was busy picking up the dropped loot, and shouted, "I didn't expect you to be a magic swordsman. This is perfect. His gear is mine now." The brat clutched the iron gauntlet that was a blue glow, his eyes shining with greed. "I'm going for the glowing blue gear." Meanwhile, Jiang Chen was quietly observing and evaluating the kid's looting technique. It was very professional. Sensing something off, Huaran stepped forward, looking suspicious and questioning him. "Hey, who's your squad leader? How come I don't know you?" But the brat just waved his hand dismissively. "Don't worry about that yet. It's normal that you don't know me," he said, not letting the red-haired knight ask anything more. The boy turned and ran back up the slope, urging them urgently, "Hurry, follow me." Leaving a confused Huaran to ask, "What, where to?" The brat waved his hand in response. "There's more over there. Still more over there." His small figure weaved nimbly into the depths of the dark, dense forest. His voice echoed back to guide them. "Don't go the wrong way." As they ran, the brat looked back, chattering away. "Lucky we ran into our own people, or we would have wasted all that effort." "Almost there. You guys are gonna be shocked." It made Huaran curious enough to probe. "Hey, who is this boss you keep talking about?" With a sly, smug smile, the kid proudly declared, "My boss is Ghostface." The red-haired knight gasped in shock. "What?" Still skeptical, Huaran wondered, isn't that guy supposed to be working for the guild leader since he leveled up? He didn't go to the core area, so why is he having you guys causing trouble out here in the outer rim? The only response was the kid's boisterous laughter. "Haha, we've been guarding this spot for days." The kid continued to brag about their lucrative operation. "Luckily, boss gave us this sweet gig. We're gonna make a killing this time." The armored skeleton behind them let out a low growl, deep in thought. Suddenly, their footsteps halted when a desperate, raspy voice echoed from the dark slope below. "Please, just kill me. I'm not playing this game anymore." Jiang Chen looked down calmly and muttered, "This is." Before their eyes lay the sight of a tattered player, tied up and hanging in midair. He moaned, "Kill me," while the system continuously flashed red alerts. "Your health is too low, please be aware." Along with the cruel rule, players trapped by items and traps cannot access the system interface to quit the game. Seeing his handiwork, the brat waved his arms excitedly. We're here. This is the place." Yet there was no way to access the system interface to log out of the game. Seeing his setup pay off, the kid waved his hand excitedly. "It's time. This is exactly the spot." But Huaran's expression shifted instantly. She glared in fury. "What? You little brats, you actually..." Beneath their feet, it turned out to be a deep, camouflaged pit filled with blood-soaked spikes, and a hand reached up desperately amidst the haunting notifications. "Your health is too low, please be aware." Without a hint of pity, the hunter brat proudly pointed to another victim tied tightly to a tree. "How about it? I designed this trap myself." Ignoring the system's flashing red warnings, "Your health is too low, please be aware." Scattered throughout the dark forest were countless players writhing in traps. One wailed, "Oh, let me go. I'm not playing anymore." Another cursed, "Damn you." At this moment, the boy turned back with eyes glowing red, and said with pure evil, faced with such unimaginable cruelty. Huaran pointed her finger, trembling with rage. "You guys are." Jiang Chen, with his arms folded behind him, silently concluded, "Thought so. They're hunting other players." The kid stomped on a victim, sneering as he explained his dirty tactics. "How is it?" "They're dangerous, all right. They save the supplies and loot anything they can get their hands on, but unless absolutely necessary, we can't take them out yet. We can't afford to let word get out." Huaran gritted her teeth, burning with rage at this disgusting behavior. How could they exploit children just to lower players' guard? She stared them down, cold and sharp. "Does the guild leader know about this?" The boy's attitude shifted instantly. He tilted his head, looking at her with confusion. "Huaran, why'd you take off your mask? Isn't hiding your identity the one thing you care about most?" Just then, emerging from the thick fog, a hulking, rough-looking guy stepped out alongside his crew, members of the Ghostface squad. With a smug grin and his ID floating above his head, he sneered, "So, you're a woman? The guy known as Shadow Leopard closed in on Jiang Chen, reaching out to paw at the heavy cloak before greedily muttering, "Heh, this gear looks expensive. Where'd you lot manage to dig this up?" But before his greed could get the better of him, a blade forged from razor-sharp dark lightning swung toward his throat without a moment's hesitation. Stumbling back in pure terror, Shadow Leopard went pale and waved his hands, begging for mercy. "Whoa, chill out, magic swordsman. No need to get tense. I'm not gonna lay a finger on you guys. We're all from Beast Valley. Wire family." He broke into a cold sweat, cursing silently. "How is this bastard so fast?" He forced a smile at Huaran. "Huaran, I see you finally found yourself a better teammate." Regaining her haughty demeanor, Huaran lifted her chin defiantly. "Now that you know, watch your step." Deep down, she was stunned. This wealthy lady was truly something else. She could even control her summon even in her current state. But as she caught a glimpse through a gap in the skeleton's armor, she saw Jiang Manman still sticking her tongue out, fast asleep and completely out cold. The red-haired knight was baffled, wondering if the girl was just faking it. Then she nodded to herself in admiration of such a crazy strategy. It was underhanded, sure, but reliable. Just as tension peaked, hurried footsteps broke the silence, and a lackey came running over, eager to claim credit. "Boss Shadow Leopard, great news. You're finally back. I already took care of that brawler." The massive figure of the leader loomed out of the fog, silent and imposing, causing the young hunter to look up and stammer, "Boss." Without warning, the leader backhanded him, sending the kid sprawling to the ground. He roared in anger, "You still have the nerve to speak, you trash. You couldn't even handle a simple task and let them slip away." The boy fell to his knees, covering his face and begging for mercy. "I'm so sorry, boss. It won't happen again." The leader waved him off coldly. "Get some men and go clean up the mess. Move it." The boy rushed off. "Yes, sir." Unable to hold back any longer, Huaran stepped forward, fuming. "Hey, does the guild leader know your squad is pulling this kind of crap?" But the leader just turned his back, indifferent. "The guild leader? I only take orders from Big Brother Ghostface." When he turned back around, she grabbed his collar, offering a mocking, inquisitive smirk. "So, you were transferred here from the Shadow Swamp to reinforce the valley, weren't you?" Huaran snapped back, irritation rising. "What's it to you? Just answer my question." But the leader just brushed her hand away with a cold shrug. "It's just capturing a few players. Is it really that big of a deal?" He finished with a domineering tone. "Listen closely. Anyone who runs in from the outskirts of the valley now takes orders from Big Brother Ghostface, and that includes you." Huaran was stunned. "What? Take orders from him?" He continued. "That's right. It has to do with the hidden dungeon in the valley." Hearing this, the skeleton patted her shoulder. "I got it. Don't touch me," she snapped. The leader didn't care and walked away, barking orders. "If you don't want to get kicked out of the valley, bring your teammate and follow me to the core area." They trudged into the dense, dark woods. The leader called back over his shoulder, "We're here. Go find Ghostface directly. He'll assign new tasks to your squad." Looking down from the ridge, the boy waved and shouted, "Hey, the goods are here." The guards looked up, confused. "You guys are?" Huaran let out a weary sigh. "Man, this is unbelievable." Below the valley floor was a bustling campsite. The boy boasted, "Lots of loot today, come on, get to work." The crowd below started bickering over the spoils. "Can I have that necklace that boosts stamina?" "Huaran, I heard you almost let someone get away this time. Who's spreading that garbage?" Huaran watched the scene, shivering as she realized this was as a dedicated hunting ground. Before her eyes, she saw children struggling to drag blood-stained sacks that held the players. A guard hurried them along. "Put some muscle into it." The system kept flashing a cold, emotionless warning. "Your HP is critically low. Please be advised." Huaran felt a pang of sorrow. Every single one of these henchmen, without exception, were children, and all of them were hunters. The commander leaned in close, spouting shameless lies. "Don't give me that scowl. They're all orphans. They need a way to survive. You could even say this is an act of charity." Behind her, Jiang Chen rubbed his chin, silently analyzing their methods. Beast Valley is hiring this many kids just to hunt players for profit. The skeleton's eyes were locked on the writhing sacks. Looks like they're exploiting loopholes in the terms of service, since the game just went live. Regardless of the gear, they seem focused on gathering supplies and keeping everything under wraps. He looked toward the largest tent, his analytical mind quickly concluding, "It's gotta be for a hidden quest." The commander shoved Huaran's shoulder, barking, "Try touching me again." Jiang Chen stayed close behind, deciding, what kind of hidden quest could this be? Looks like I have to keep following her to gather more intel on the quest in this hunting ground. Even so, he noticed something off about this haughty girl. Her expression had fallen, and she was silent. There's something strange about her. Seeing the wealthy lady in such low spirits, Jiang Chen reached out and patted her back comfortingly. Don't worry, I'm fine. I haven't forgotten our deal. Huaran startled slightly, turning back with a touch of embarrassment. The first time I've ever been comforted by a summon. That feels weird. She quickly masked her sadness, blinking and flashing her usual confident, radiant smile. Let's go. Let's head to the main tent and hear what our new mission is. A massive hand pulled back the ragged tent flap, and they stepped into the headquarters of the bandits. As soon as she walked in, the rough-looking men inside whipped their heads around, their eyes fixed on her with predatory, suspicious glares. Hey, look over there, look at who just arrived. A constant buzz of whispering broke out among the crowd. Wait, isn't that Huaran? Why did she take off her helmet? I heard she was pretty, but I didn't think she was this stunning. Word is, back when Ghostface tried to force her squad to join his, she literally broke his nose. That recruitment attempt was really just him trying to add her to his harem. She finally decided to cozy up to Ghostface, didn't she? Looks like she's moving up in the world now. And she's not late either. She even took off her helmet for him this time. Haha. The crowd kept spewing trash talk. Hard to say though. Ghostface is already chasing after the guildmaster. He might not even be interested in her anymore. Huaran just gritted her teeth, enduring the mockery as they brought up her past. Rumor has it, she grew up in an orphanage, and her brothers and sisters are all disabled. An orphanage? Well, this camp is the perfect place for her then. Haha. Listening to the whole exchange, Jiang Chen finally realized what was going on. So that was it. No wonder she was so disgusted by how those kids were being exploited. At that moment, the leader who had been guiding them stepped forward, his face stern as he spoke to Huaran. Listen, Huaran, I have something to say to you. He stared at her intently. I know about your background, and I know there's bad blood between you and Ghostface, but here's my advice. He warned her. When you see Ghostface again, don't act impulsively. Put the guild's interests first. It's unsettling to see what's happening to those orphans, but at the end of the day, this is a rare chance to make a fortune. He finished coldly and ruthlessly. If you mess this up, don't expect us to back you up. As he spoke, he pointed to the loot to soothe her. Aside from the health potions and recovery items, which are off-limits, you'll get a cut of the gear here. So, I'm asking you, just suck it up. Backed into a corner, Huaran hung her head, biting her lip as she replied, I understand. But deep down, she couldn't help but mock her own helplessness. Huaran, oh Huaran, how could you be so spineless? Walking past the burly guards, the young woman cursed silently to herself. This game was just as rotten as the real world. Trying to shake off the pessimism, she spun around and glared at the little lady hiding inside Jiang Chen's armor, venting her frustration with sarcasm. Hey, big spender, I'm calling you Milk Cow from now on. And your summon beast? Let's call it Electric Scooter. Hearing those names, Jiang Chen was at a loss for words. He sighed to himself. What a terrible naming sense. Passing through the dark tent curtain, the red-haired knight pulled the canvas aside, stepped inside, and looked back to say simply, Let's go. We're in. A dim storm lantern hanging from the ceiling swayed slightly, casting hazy light into the suffocating space. Before their eyes sat a fat, bald man, dripping with sweat. His head tilted back, groaning in pleasure as he received a massage. Oh, that's lively. Not bad at all. He laughed boisterously, looking up at the ceiling, and ordered his subordinates. Ha ha ha, catching this many women, you lot really do the best work. Keep it up. Once the guild finishes the job, I'll let you all have your fun with them. Then strip them of their gear and kick them to the curb. While the servant bowed and replied, Thank you. Huaran squeezed her eyes shut, gritting her teeth in disgust, muttering, Damn it, it's like looking at a pile of wiggling pork. Ghost face. Hearing that familiar voice, the man jumped, turning around as his bulging eyes widened in shock. So it's you, Huaran. But she just lifted her chin, coldly cutting him off. Huaran? Why would you even take your helmet off for this guy? What the hell does it have to do with you? I heard you're the new mission dispatcher. Contrary to her sharp attitude, Ghostface smiled lewdly and stepped closer. Ha, you really are my type. It's a shame that you just like to. Before the pervert could finish his sentence, Huaran delivered a brutal knee strike straight to his crotch and said coldly, Talk business if you have something to say. He doubled over, screaming in agony. Ugh, that hurts. Contrary to what one might expect, the fat man didn't get angry. Instead, he broke into a sweat, grinning pervertedly with a flushed face, saying, Huaran, ugh, that's strong. I like you even more now. Huaran stepped back, her eyes filled with absolute contempt, as if looking at a pile of trash. What? Do you enjoy being cursed at? You piece of trash. Instead, he groaned in sick pleasure. Oh, that feels good. Regaining his serious expression, Ghostface wobbled as he spread his arms, laughing mockingly while assigning the task. As you can see, guarding this camp is your new mission. Going deeper is the core area dungeon of the valley. Keeping other players out is your job. Huaran narrowed her eyes, asking suspiciously, why go that far? He smoothed his monocle with a smirk, looking incredibly arrogant and smug. Huh? You're asking me why? I can't tell you that, unless you know what I mean. Then his face darkened with a threat. Don't push your luck. I'm already in a bad mood. Ignoring the threat, Huaran confronted him directly. Does the guildmaster know about those children? He sneered in response. Of course he does. Whose plan do you think this is? I'm telling you, Huaran, don't be so serious. Ghostface's face sank into the dim shadows, revealing a sinister smile as he targeted her weakness. Huaran, don't you want to climb to the top? You still have to support your siblings, right? This is your best chance. He confidently spread his arms, his lewd eyes scanning her body. Join me, and I guarantee you'll get the biggest cut of the money. How about it? As for the time you broke my nose, I'll let it slide. Then he finished with a bold demand, be my woman. Just as his filthy hand reached out to touch Huaran, a cold, armored hand shot out from nowhere, grabbing his wrist tightly, making him startle. Ugh. Pushing his hand away, Huaran glared at him with steely resolve. If your mouth is only good for spewing garbage, let me shut it for you permanently. Ghostface didn't hold back, shouting, all the equipment in this camp is for the guildmaster. If you ruin his plan, you can't afford the consequences. Do you really think the guildmaster still values you like when the guild was first formed? You stubborn Huaran. The fat man tilted his head back, laughing triumphantly, and held up a sparkling, glowing ring. I already told you the guildmaster has his eyes on you, but you keep pretending to be holier than thou. Well, look at you now, no one can help you. See this? I'm the guildmaster's right-hand man now. This is my ticket to promotion. Once the guildmaster finishes the core area, I'll get to join that mission too. The system instantly displayed the details of the special quest item. Lamb's Psi Trial Ring, a challenge ring gifted by a strange NPC. Direct the lamb to demonstrate your true strength. The Ghostface spat out a vicious insult. Why don't you just stay here and be the orphanage director? Sending Huaran into a fit of swearing. You piece of trash. As Jiang Chen stood silently behind her, the glowing red eyes beneath his helmet flashed with a chilling light the moment he heard about this quest treasure. Only then did the Ghostface notice the presence of the cloaked figure behind her. He frowned and barked. Who are you? How come I've never seen you before? Are you some other crippled sibling of hers? If I remember correctly. Before the taunt could even finish, a massive pitch-black greatsword, wreathed in surging dark lightning, tore through the air, smashing into the ground with a threatening thud. The Ghostface's bulging eyes widened, cold sweat pouring down his face as he stuttered, unable to speak under the terrifying pressure. A surge of dark energy exploded, hurling the fat man into the air, causing him to writhe and scream in agony until his lungs felt like they were bursting. Ah! Trapped in the swirling black electricity, he roared in panic. What are you doing? Huaran, you guys dare to ambush me? You dare lay a hand on me? Do you want to die? While Jiang Chen stood by watching calmly and calculating. This attack obviously didn't kill him. Is he wearing defensive accessories? How cunning. Struggling in vain, the Ghostface raised his hands to gather magic, screaming madly for a counterattack. Let me go, dark magic. Shadow orb. Go to hell, you bastard. The pitch-black orbs flew out but dissolved into thin air the moment they touched the opponent's cloak. The fat man stared through his cracked monocle, sweating profusely. How is this possible? Having taken a barrage of dark magic orbs without a single scratch, the armored man slowly stepped out of the electrical smoke, leaving the Ghostface shivering and stuttering. I hit you with several shadow orbs, and you're fine? What the hell are you? The system quietly scanned Jiang Chen's abnormal stats. 356 magic resistance, 130 physical resistance, 980 attribute resistance, along with a host of immunity parameters, like 80% dark attribute resistance, 40% fire resistance, 15% water resistance, 90% lightning resistance, 90% poison resistance, 40% slash resistance, and 50% strike resistance. Realizing he had kicked a wall of iron, the fat man hurriedly waved his hands, begging and crying. Wait, don't kill me, we can negotiate, we can work together. Isn't it just some gear? I'll give it all to you. But the black sword was already raised, accompanied by a cold, icy tone. You talk too much. I'm sick of hearing it. His blood-red eyes flashed ruthlessly, as Jiang Chen poured all his power into the sword. A massive surge of dark energy gathering and roaring with thunderous sound. A colossal bolt of black lightning, carrying destructive power, struck straight down. It finished the enemy off in one final, desperate scream. The charred corpse hit the ground with a thud. The system coldly announced that the player Ghostface had died. At the same time, Jiang Chen glanced down at the body and muttered, 2 rings. The system dashboard flashed, displaying the 2 items that had just dropped. One was a level 10 Stone Giant's ring, plus 785 HP, plus 200 energy, plus 50 magic resistance, plus 100 physical resistance. Unique passive Stone Giant's Heart, 100% chance to survive a fatal blow below level 40. Cooldown, 12 hours. When the equipment owner is killed, the cooldown resets. The Stone Giant's gift is weak, but it's enough to save your life. Hope you never have to use it. Dear player, special quest item. Lamb's Spirit Trial Ring usable below level 40. A ring gifted by a strange NPC. Show your strength to the Lamb Spirit. The quest was not yet settled. Jiang Chen casually picked up the loot, stroked his bony chin and smirked. Good stuff. This trash actually had a high-end life-saving accessory like this. Seems like there's plenty of loot in the valley. The other item was the Lamb's Quest Ring. He tossed the overpowered defensive ring to the petrified red-haired knight. Here, take this life-saving ring, woman. Huaran frantically snatched it, breaking into a sweat and shouting, Are you crazy? If we kill him, we're done for. The Lamb's sigh. He ignored the panicked guide. In Jiang Chen's mind, the image of the giant dark figure with evil goat horns instantly clicked into place. He excitedly concluded, an undead-type boss NPC. I'm taking this quest. He turned on his heel and walked away. Jiang Chen coolly declared, since the intel has been gathered, leaving Huaran behind, still in total confusion as she chased after him, calling out, Hey, where are you going? You're not planning to. His movement speed skyrocketed, and the black sword glowed with brutal electric sparks. Burning with fighting spirit, Jiang Chen needed to reach the dungeon area to claim the quest quickly. Just as he eagerly rushed out of the tent, his shoulder accidentally slammed into a burly soldier carrying a wooden barrel, spilling ale everywhere. The soldier roared in anger. Hey, you spilled the ale. Are you blind, you brat? Jiang Chen stopped, slowly turning his head. His eyes glowed red beneath the iron helmet, cold and piercing. A deep, threatening voice rumbled. Are you blind? Without another word, Jiang Chen tightened his grip on the greatsword, which was swirling with dark lightning, making a cold-blooded decision in his heart. Since it had come to this, he might as well slaughter every single Beast Tribe player in this encampment. As soon as he finished speaking, he spun around, unleashing a violent vortex of sword energy that tore through space, sweeping away every obstacle in his path. The black whirlwind suddenly knocked over a wooden table, causing the soldier sitting there to jump in terror, his eyes widening, as he screamed, Hey, what the hell is going on? The shockwave sent the wooden cup flying into the air before it smashed against the ground, shattering into pieces. Golden ale splattered into every corner. Hearing the commotion, another soldier nearby frowned, turned his head and grumbled, What are they making such a racket over there for? But before he could even understand what was happening, Jiang Chen had lunged forward and slit his throat. The system announced 100 evolution points, causing the surrounding soldiers to scream in panic. Is this brat looking for a fight? He killed Sanyang. He just slit his throat and butchered him. Seeing her companion suddenly go insane, Huaran grabbed her young mistress's shoulder, sweating profusely, and wailed, Little wealthy lady, what on earth are you doing? There's no such thing as just arbitrarily hacking people to death like you. It's over. It's all over. Ignoring the red-haired knight's constant nagging, the skeleton stared through glowing red eyes, evaluating his targets. The players here were mostly around level 14. They were all basic classes, not even a single mage or holy knight among them. The guy chuckled to himself, mapping out his plan. A bunch of rookies like this wouldn't be a threat at all. As the enemies started grabbing their weapons and shouting, something unexpected happened. The guard had picked the wrong target. Just as he went for the kill, their leader stepped in, raising a hand to stop him. Hold on, don't move yet. Let me have a word with him. The leader stepped forward, looking furious, teeth gritted as he barked, Hey, what's wrong with you guys from the Huaran squad? Don't want any gear, is that it? With an arrogant, bossy look on his face, he pointed straight at the ground, threatening the cloaked figure. I'll give you 2 choices right now. Choice 1, leave your gear here and log out yourself. But as he started to loudly threaten him with the second option, Jiang Chen was already silently channeling a surge of powerful black lightning into his sword. Before the guy could even finish saying, "Choice 2, a lightning-infused slash tore through the air, slamming right into the leader's face. The leader let out a blood-curdling scream. Ah! The rest of his gang panicked, shouting, "That's someone from the Hua Ran squad. Damn, that kid was up to no good after all." Without a second's hesitation, the entire camp went into chaos. They drew their weapons and charged, one of them yelling, "Damn it, is the Hua Ran squad trying to rebel? Everyone, attack! Where are the archers? Check his class and capture him." Watching the crazy mob rushing toward him, Jiang Chen flashed a wicked grin beneath his armor. A chaotic brawl? Perfect. If they had surrounded me and come at me one by one, it actually would have been harder to escape. At that moment, an archer locked onto his target, drew his bow, and shouted, "Multi-shot! Use scout!" Countless sharp arrows rained down from the sky toward Jiang Chen. The archer's auto-lock system kept pinging, confirming the target. Despite the arrows pouring down like a torrential rain, the armored skeleton just glanced upward, his eyes glowing with murderous intent, and muttered, "Archers, huh?" In a split second, he grabbed a corpse to shield himself from the arrow storm, and the system notified him that the role had been eliminated. "The skill level is too low, unable to scout," the archer yelled in frustration. "He used a corpse to block it. I can't lock onto him, and I can't scout him." Another guy realized something and pointed. "You idiots, look at his sword. It's got lightning enchantment. This guy's a magic swordsman. Stay away from him. Magic swordsmen don't have ranged skills. Everyone, pull back and keep your distance." Hearing the enemy's strategy, Jiang Chen's crimson eyes narrowed with amusement. "Trying to keep your distance, huh?" He immediately activated his skill. Bone Armor Arrow Mode. In an instant, a bone arrow wrapped in black lightning streaked through the enemy ranks, slamming toward where the enemy was hiding. He roared, "Found you, you bastard!" The arrow whistled through the air and pierced the archer's head. Jiang Chen calmly reasoned, "Prioritize taking out the archers. You showed your position yourself, thanks for the favor." Seizing the moment, he kept firing electric bone arrows, sweeping across the area, draining his supply to whittle down their health, sending the soldiers into a panic-stricken frenzy. Ah! What is this? The system reported that his arrow count had dropped by 750. Seeing their formation being torn apart, a knight with a massive shield charged in to block him, cursing angrily. "Damn it, how does a magic swordsman have ranged skills?" He shoved his comrade aside. "Move, let me handle this." The knight slammed his shield into the ground to take a defensive stance, loudly commanding his allies. "I don't care what his class is, lock him down. His ranged skills are a nuisance. Limit his movement." Watching the clumsy textbook movements of the shield-bearer, Jiang Chen judged him with contempt. "These guys are so slow, so slow. There are openings everywhere." Suddenly, the skeleton picked up a large wooden table and hurled it straight at the shield, shattering it. The knight was stunned, gasping. "What?" Wood splinters flew everywhere, completely blocking their view. The knight broke into a cold sweat, nervously wondering, "Did he block our vision? Is he using the blind spot to his advantage?" Jiang Chen rushed forward like a dark flash, bringing his greatsword down ruthlessly as he coldly scoffed. "Who are you looking down on?" Terrified by the armored figure's ghostly speed, the assassin's eyes widened, cold sweat pouring as he cried, "His speed? It's too fast." Timing it perfectly, Jiang Chen swung his sword, striking the enemy with precise bolts of dark electricity, and dryly criticized, "The gaps in your armor are all weak points at the joints. And you're at this level and you're wearing heavy armor? It's way too heavy, making you incredibly slow." His black blade plunged into the ground after the perfect finisher. He coldly uttered a single dismissive word, "Weak." He also pocketed 100 evolution points. The bloody scene made the surrounding players retreat in terror. "Hey, what's going on? He's killed over a dozen people all by himself. Does Huaran really have such a dangerous subordinate?" Meanwhile, Jiang Chen calmly calculated, "It seems I can earn a lot of evolution points here." The skeleton tilted his iron helm, glancing at the remaining soldiers, and muttered curiously, "Ranged attacks and magic damage. Is this a hidden class?" Then he paused. Over there, the assassin is drawing a glowing red dagger and taking a stance." He added, "Although his level probably isn't very high, he looks quite skilled at PvP, always hitting the weak points. He's more like an assassin than you are." He was immediately shut down by the knight. "Shut up and get back to work." As the elite squad directly under Vice Guild Master Python stood still, observing the two new enemies, Jiang Chen quietly analyzed the battlefield. A swordsman and an assassin, no support class. Seems like they have an extreme playstyle. I have the advantage in terms of attribute countering, but their levels are a bit high. Before diving in, he stomped his foot and shot forward like a whirlwind, activating a 20% movement speed buff, and instructed the mistress behind him. Same rules as always. Once we're done, the loot is yours, the currency is mine. A high-speed battle erupted. The knight swung his sword repeatedly, shouting in shock, "He's making his move. He's way too strong. No wonder he's a subordinate of the Vice Guild Master. He can actually keep up with my speed. Not bad at all." While parrying the enemy's heavy strikes, Jiang Chen frowned, weighing his options. Their technique is average, but their levels are a bit high. If I keep draining my energy like this, I might miss the mission. The system interface for the evil eye icon suddenly appeared with a progress bar at 1000. He thoughtfully recalled the gaze of the sighing lamb. A selection-style trial mission. Only by filling the gaze value at the specified location can one successfully summon the lamb. An image of a giant black lamb monster crushing a snake monster appeared, reinforcing his deduction. As a high-tier boss, the lamb far surpassed the area's monster levels. Its presence would cause the monsters spawned around the dungeon to level up passively. The Tiger Beast Guild had clearly been mesmerized by these suddenly leveled-up monsters. Dodging a fatal strike, the skeleton cursed in frustration, thinking about how he'd assumed the only way to farm gaze value was by mindlessly grinding mobs. Damn it, what kind of class is this? Grinding mobs is the least efficient way to summon, and constant fighting just burns through all my supplies. Swinging his sword to deflect a blazing blade, Jiang Chen's eyes flashed with a crimson light as he grasped the heart of the problem. The lamb isn't the final objective of this quest, it's just a proxy for its master to issue tasks. At that moment, the majestic figure of the true master descended upon a grand throne of skulls. The level 99 undead boss, the great archmage Veronica, flashed through his mind. He marveled. She was the true quest giver. If a player could complete her tasks, they wouldn't just get gear and items. A vision of a mysterious, glowing secret manual appeared brilliantly before his eyes. He realized with excitement that it would surely drop the hidden undead class transfer scroll. That woman's luck is insane. An average party of stray players couldn't even dream of taking this quest. Back in reality, Jiang Chen smoothly slid past a series of deadly strikes, leaving the knight to hack uselessly at the ground, cursing in rage. His movement is too slippery. Frustrated by an enemy dancing around like a ghost, the assassin pulled out a potion, chugged it, and screamed, "Damn it, his movements are freakish. It feels like he's just toying with us. No choice, use the stat boosters. This run is going to cost me a fortune." The system immediately buffed him with a 20% stat increase. Ignoring the enemy's desperate power-up, Jiang Chen glanced at his gaze value, now shooting up to 5,341,000, and made his calculations. Looking at the size of this camp, the lamb has been in this valley for at least a week. Even if the tiger beasts have low efficiency in farming gaze value by grinding, they must be close to maxing it out by now. Seeing the situation dragging on, two elites charged in recklessly. Shouting commands, they didn't have time to stall any longer. "We have to reach the core. Use whatever long-range skills you've got. Throw everything you have at him. Go all out." The assassin froze, looking at his teammates in confusion. "But we don't have long-range skills." The knight went ballistic, spraying spit as he yelled, "You idiots! Fire pots, throwing knives, stink bombs, throw anything you've got." Just as he raised his sword to strike, Jiang Chen's shadow had already blurred through the air. The knight stared blankly, shouting, "Hey, where are you going?" He got faster. "He's breaking out of the encirclement." The armored skeleton muttered to himself, disappointed. Chugging potions for a temporary stat boost. Damn it. I wanted to save those evolution points for that level 3 Vice Guild leader. Dragging his greatsword along the ground, sparks flew in a long trail. Jiang Chen decided to speed things up. He couldn't afford to waste any more time here. As the tiger beast minions slashed at him repeatedly, a cold metallic hand suddenly reached out and snatched the holographic interface out of thin air. The commander continued screaming frantically, "Don't just stand there. Focus all your ranged skills and attacks over here." The soldiers obeyed instantly, shouting in unison, "Take him down." A barrage of fire rained down on the target area. Pillars of flame erupted, smoke and dust clouding their vision. A soldier asked, trembling, "Did we get him?" "No, I don't know." Suddenly, from the center of the explosion, the masked assassin's eyes welled up with joyful tears. "Cough, cough, I pierced him. He's done for." But his intuition whispered that something was wrong. He muttered, "Huh?" He looked down to see his dagger plunged straight through a limp, empty cloak fluttering in the wind. Cold sweat broke out as the assassin realized he was in trouble. Just as he thought he had landed a hit, a blinding bolt of lightning exploded from the void. The system repeatedly notified him that Jiang Chen's army-crushing thunder skill had evolved to level 10, simultaneously unlocking a brand new branch, Thunder Guard. Blown backward by the electric shock, the assassin stared in terror at the white bone beneath the cloak, shrieking, "What? Bones? You're not human." Ignoring the blood-drained expression of his enemy, Jiang Chen slowly turned his head. His hollow eye sockets flared with a wicked, crimson light. He spoke in a chilling, bone-deep voice. "Your turn." Crushed by his killing intent, the assassin stumbled back, screaming in despair. "What on earth are you?" Meanwhile, at a cliff edge, Hua Ran was frantically shaking the shoulder of her little mistress, Jiang Manman, who was sitting on the ground with her eyes tightly shut, ignoring the constant stream of experience point notifications popping up above her head. The red-haired knight called out desperately, "Hey, little Miss Moneybags, I'm losing my patience." Hua Ran shook the mage's limp body, her face flushed with angry frustration. "How much longer are you going to keep playing dead? What are you even trying to do? The Tiger Beast Guild is going to send a whole army to hunt us down. Are you even listening?" Suddenly, a cold system notification appeared right above the girl's head. Player disconnected. Seeing Jiang Manman's blank, soulless expression, Hua Ran gasped, her face going pale as she muttered bitterly, She logged off." The shock left the red-haired knight paralyzed. Her brain went into overdrive trying to analyze the situation. She mumbled in confusion. When did she log off? If she's disconnected, then what the hell is happening with that summon out there? Her gaze shifted to the black lightning rampaging in the distance. Hua Ran swallowed hard. A crazy thought crossed her mind. Does that summon have a mind of its own? That's impossible. Her train of thought was abruptly shattered by a massive pillar of dark lightning striking down from the sky. The sheer power shook the ground. Shielding her face from the violent shockwave, Hua Ran gritted her teeth and cursed in despair. What the hell is going on now? Hurriedly peeking out from cover, Hua Ran was met with a scene of utter devastation. Watching the corpses of the Tiger Beast Guild players scattered among the smoking debris, her eyes widened in horror. Did that summon kill all of them? Following the armored skeleton as he strolled casually through the battlefield like he owned the place, Hua Ran tried to comfort herself with a far-fetched theory. Did that little rich girl finish commanding the summon to kill them, and then just log off? That can't be it. How could it be such a coincidence? Even so, her survival instincts kicked in, warning her, best to stay away from that thing. On the other side of the battlefield, Jiang Chen didn't give the panicked companion a second thought. He calmly picked up a glowing red dagger. The system interface displayed the details. It was a level 15 bloodthirsty rogue stained shadow dagger, with a tier 3 bleeding effect. The skeleton stroked his chin in thought, another one of these. His superhuman memory immediately reminded him of the days when he was grinding, back when he did commissioned work, and this specific item was a requested order. Looking at the corpse of the assassin he had just taken down, Jiang Chen let out a scornful laugh. What are the odds that it was your order, kid? Before he could finish reminiscing, a roar of fury tore through the air, accompanied by a series of thunderous lightning strikes. You had a part in my death too. A crowd of nearby players were struck by electricity, lighting up like Christmas trees. They screamed in agony. Far away, Hua Ran was sweating profusely, her forehead drenched as she groaned in terror. Is it planning to kill everyone and leave no survivors? Sweeping away those who stood in his path, the system pinged to report 1,200 evolution points gained, but the skeleton didn't seem satisfied with the harvest. He trudged past the pile of corpses, sighing and grumbling. What a waste. Dealing with this trash heap cost me so many evolution points. Even though he was regretful, he remembered his main objective. Jiang Chen clicked his tongue and walked away. It was an urgent mission. He had to reach the core area quickly. As he walked, he inspected his metallic, magic-infused armored hand, his heart burning with great ambition. As long as this mission is completed, and that girl successfully completes her hidden class advancement, then for my power levels, it will be a huge leap forward. Mentioning that girl, Jiang Chen suddenly remembered a very difficult problem, and he rubbed his aching bony chin. But that kid has been logged off for a while now. Who knows when she'll be able to reconnect? The worst-case scenario immediately flashed in his mind. If she's offline, she can reconnect, but if she gets killed while being logged off, that's a disaster. To solve this problem, he told himself, It's best to find someone reliable to watch over her so I can focus on the fighting. While searching for a babysitter, a bright yellow light bulb suddenly flickered above his skull. Seeing a soul remnant drifting up from the body of a tiger beast soldier, Jiang Chen clapped his hands, deciding on a plan. That's it. Without wasting another second, he turned on his heel, swept his cloak, and took firm, decisive steps toward the tightly closed tent. His bony hand pulled back the curtain, and his hollow eye sockets met her stunned, startled expression. "Ah!" cried the red-haired knight Huaran. The skeleton nodded to himself in satisfaction. He had almost forgotten her. Looming over with his massive shadow and glowing red eye sockets, Jiang Chen coldly evaluated her. She was indeed the most suitable candidate. Startled by the sudden approach, Huaran panicked and backed away. Holding her weapon up in a trembling defensive stance, she screamed, "What are you? Don't come any closer. No matter how strong you are, I'm not someone to be messed with." Trying to save a shred of dignity, she continued to threaten him with a choked-up voice. "If you dare take another step, I will report everything about you to the others in the Tiger Beast Guild." Seeing her puffing up like a cat who'd had its tail stepped on, Jiang Chen clicked his tongue in pity. "Looks like I've scared the wits out of her. Not everyone is the type to blindly rush into danger with no brain, after all." Having locked onto his prey, he forcefully reached out his armored bony hand, pinned her shoulder firmly, and spoke in a low voice. "Perfect. To complete my plan, I'm currently lacking an assistant. I should probably try to be a bit more gentle with her." Feeling that he was just holding her shoulder and not delivering a killing blow, Huaran's breathing began to steady. "Wait, it didn't attack me?" That's right, this summon seemed. A short snippet of memory flashed clearly in her mind. The moment when this giant skeleton didn't hesitate to rush out, baring its wide back to shield her from a brutal magic explosion to protect her earlier. The images of him frantically casting lightning to finish off massive monsters, to clear a path for their escape, appeared one after another. Huaran suddenly realized the truth. All this time, it has been silently protecting me and the little rich girl. Could it really have a consciousness of its own? With the final piece of the puzzle in place, the knight's face turned as red as a ripe tomato, her eyes wide with extreme embarrassment as she thought of a sensitive event. Wait a minute, hold on. If he has his own consciousness then, back when he brazenly took off my gear while I was unconscious, doesn't that mean? Huaran quickly covered her steaming, beet-red face with her hands, trying to calm her shrieking maiden heart. Stay calm. Calm down first. At least he won't hurt me." While she was busy convincing herself, a forceful tug made her stumble and let out a confused cry. With his hostage secured, Jiang Chen dragged Huaran along, secretly calculating with satisfaction. Now that I've calmed her, time to follow the plan. Being dragged away mercilessly like a piece of cargo, Huaran struggled and shouted helplessly, "Hey you, where are you taking me? Damn it, I knew I couldn't trust this monster." As the tent flap opened, a terrifying scene unfolded. The entire sprawling campsite of the tiger beasts was now submerged in a sea of flames that lit up the sky. Thunderous explosions made the surrounding soldiers scream in agony. Is this real? In stark contrast to the panic among the tiger beasts, the stray players who had been locked in cages were now free and bursting with joy. They hugged each other, weeping like a downpour, choked with emotion. "This is unbelievable. I never thought there were such kind people in this world." For low-level stray players like us, she actually dared to bravely start a war single-handedly against the entire Tiger Beast Guild at this camp. And the focal point of that blind adoration was none other than Zhang Manmin. Despite the harsh reality that she was still fast asleep, head lolling in an ungainly posture against her armor, the crowd below was still fanatically cheering for her, as if a deity had descended to earth. She was the supreme goddess of the stray players in the valley. That's right, it was she who so valiantly saved us. "Charge and beat those tiger beast scumbags," one guy shouted while swinging his weapon wildly and crying, "Damn it, thank goodness I ran into the goddess, or else I would lost my gear and died. Those despicable tiger beast bastards. They actually dared to use dirty tricks and set traps to lower our guard just to loot our in-game assets. And they actually had the heart to commit such dirty deeds." Looking down from above at the crowd's goddess, who was sound asleep with her head tilted to the side, Jiang Chen couldn't help but laugh and cry at the same time, shaking his head. I really did pick the right person to shoulder the burden. Amidst the heat of the battlefield, a leader of the independent players boldly climbed onto a pile of crates, raising an empty pouch from the Tiger Beast Guild high in the air, shouting loudly to grab everyone's attention. "Brothers, The reason the Tiger Beast Guild went through all the trouble to trap us is because of something truly disgusting. He pointed down at the open ground, his voice raspy with indignation as he exposed their scheme. Continued. He pointed down at the open ground, his voice raspy with indignation as he exposed their scheme. Their goal wasn't just to swindle you out of a few gold coins or some basic gear. The crowd below erupted in an uproar. Then what is it for? The independent leader replied, emphasizing every single word. In reality, all these dirty tricks are for a priceless hidden quest in the valley. They are only doing this to monopolize the rewards. That's why they've been desperately suppressing all information and blatantly looting our supplies. This earth-shattering secret left every player present gaping in shock. What? Is that it? A hidden quest? A grinder player exclaimed with greedy eyes. A hidden quest. If we complete that, we could get super rare gear and items. This revelation made what the crowd erupt in a furious rage. No wonder those Tiger Beast scumbags were so ruthless and burned every bridge. Seizing the golden opportunity, Huaran cleverly stepped forward, loudly playing along with the script. That's right. We only ended up being hunted down here because we accidentally discovered the Tiger Beast Guild's dirty plan. She quickly analyzed the tactical situation for the restless crowd. But listen, everyone right now, their main force is focused on grinding monsters in the core dungeon area. Because of that, the defenses on the perimeter of the valley have become extremely thin. After sketching out a path to survival, the red-haired knight waved her hand to boost the soldiers' morale. Now is the best chance for us to push through the encirclement and return safely to the main city. Her encouragement made a greedy independent player click his tongue. Task. A once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for a hidden quest like that. How can we just walk away? Ha! Are you kidding? A lowly independent player like us. Who dares to fight that infamous Tiger Beast Guild? Unfortunately, our gear and supplies have already been cleaned out. Continued. Who dares to fight that infamous Tiger Beast Guild? Unfortunately, our gear and supplies have already been cleaned out. What are we supposed to risk our lives with? Hearing the practical concerns of the common players, Huaran smiled. As for the loot, the magical light shimmering from the crates and dozens of colorful crystals made the crowd's eyes dazzle. The knight stood with her hands on her hips, loudly announcing the distribution of wealth. Continued. The knight stood with her hands on her hips, loudly announcing the distribution of wealth. Rest assured, we have all the Tiger Beast Guild's treasures right here, including all the traps and countless area of effect damage items they painstakingly prepared for so long. If you all want to survive, break through the encirclement, and get out safely, you're definitely going to need these expensive toys. The offer was as sweet as honey to their ears. A burly bald man swallowed hard. Since the goddess has been so generous, then we brothers don't need to be polite anymore. An independent player opened his eyes wide, staring at the glittering treasures on the ground, and cheered happily. Continued. An independent player opened his eyes wide, staring at the glittering treasures on the ground, and cheered happily. Damn it. This is the Crimson Flame Snake's Venom Vial. It can deal area of effect magic damage. And this is the ghost-faced spider's web. With these, why the hell should I be afraid of the Tiger Beast Guild? At the same time, the armored skeleton, carrying the little mistress on his shoulder, watched the chaos from afar. His glowing red eye sockets narrowed with satisfaction. Looks like the plan worked, he thought. However, it was unfortunate that their movements seemed to have caught the eye of someone else. An assassin in black silently blended into the shadows, right near a player shouting, "Is anyone organizing a team? You want to go deal with the Tiger Beast Guild too?" Completely unaware. While Jiang Chen keenly sensed that someone might have noticed something strange, he realized the situation was about to spiral out of control. The skeleton turned around decisively, whispering for Huaran to hurry. "We should leave a bit earlier." This left the girl confused, as she turned to ask, We're leaving?" Before they departed, she didn't forget to throw one last spark to fuel the fired-up crowd. "Everyone, word that the camp has been breached will reach the Tiger Beast headquarters soon. Let's break through the encirclement together. The target is too big. Hurry up, everyone grab what you can and break out in different directions." A loud, resounding roar of approval followed immediately. "Good, kill those Tiger Beastards." After the three of them retreated into the shadows of the forest, Huaran panted as she ran alongside them. "Hey, I did what you said, and it seems to have worked. I never expected your goal was actually to get these independent players to harass the Tiger Beast Guild." Continued. "I never expected your goal was actually to get these independent players to harass the Tiger Beast Guild." Jiang Chen calmly explained the tactic. Hiding a tree in a forest. This way, the Tiger Beast Guild won't notice us for a while. The red-haired knight blushed slightly, glancing at the little girl perched on the skeleton's shoulder, inwardly amazed. This little rich girl is truly cunning, she thought. But even more outrageous is the fact that even when the summoner's life is hanging by a thread, this summon can still continue to carry out its master's commands. Then, Huaran continued to follow the steady back in front of her, lamenting her own fate. I never expected that even the act of dragging me into this was part of her plan. Although it's a bit risky, there's no turning back now. That garbage guild wasn't worth staying in anyway. Yet anxiety still lingered in the knight's mind. She muttered, doubting the possibility of success. But, can her plan to contest the dungeon really work? Before she could finish, she fell so far behind that she had to cry out. Ah, are you in such a rush? Why did it suddenly? Ouch, ouch, ouch! A sharp, gleaming dagger plummeted from the sky, aiming straight for Huaran's head, but Jiang Chen swung his greatsword in a flash, parrying the strike and saving her life. Seeing the attack missed, the attacker somersaulted in the air and landed steadily on a tree branch, causing Huaran to panic and take a defensive stance. Ambush! Who's there? The mysterious attacker coldly offered a compliment. You actually blocked that? Impressive. Jiang Chen's red eye sockets locked onto the enemy. The skeleton seriously assessed the danger. A shadow assassin, an advanced class after a first job change. The requirements are extremely strict. Don't let your guard down. He continued to analyze. The enemy is slowly approaching. Their level is very high, and their technique is better than the previous assassins. They are the player we just saved earlier. The assassin in the black cloak calmly unraveled the truth. You aren't trying to break through our encirclement at all, are you? With sharp intuition, the assassin stepped closer, his eyes glowing with a faint blue light, exposing their feint. First, they released the players and told them about the quest, even leaving behind the loot. You wanted those freelance players to stir up trouble in the valley, so you could slip away and do something else while the water's murky. The shadow assassin stood tall, pointing his blade at the ground, and confidently delivered his razor-sharp deduction. Your target is a hidden quest, and you've got a pretty clever way to get into the core area. Exposed, Huaran immediately activated her holy spear shield, blinding and defensive, snapping back in anger to hide her true intent. Stop guessing, we're just trying to escape the valley. And to think we just saved you, only for you to turn on us like this. Unexpectedly, the assassin calmly lowered his weapon and dropped a proposition that left the whole group stunned. I'm going with you. Huaran blurted out. What? He slowly continued. I have no interest in your quest. I only have one target. With eyes burning with hatred, he gripped the dagger against his chest, his words dripping with thick, murderous intent. I want to kill the python. As long as I get to kill him with my own two hands, I'll do whatever you want. Jiang Chen offered a twisted smile, his white teeth flashing beneath his hood, his red eyes glowing. He listened to the assassin and said, So how about it? Do we have a deal? Yeah.